Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. Welcome to the Assetto Corsa content creator madness, I think it's going to be fair to say. My name is Chris Buxton. I'm one of your commentators throughout tonight's festivities. What have we got lined up for you? We have not one, not two, but three races in three different classes of car that we will cover throughout the course of the evening. I am very, very excited, in case you couldn't tell. Sharing the excitement on the commentary box with me, I'm very, very glad to say, all the way stateside, Mike Nause. Come on board, sir. How you doing?
I am doing wonderful myself, Chris. We are here at Circuit Ricardo Tormo, otherwise known as Valencia, a 2.4-mile circuit located in Valencia, Spain, with 14 corners, 5 to the right, 9 to the left. And as you said in the intro, this is going to be the creator clash, maybe a little bit of chaos out there. We're going to have nothing but sprint races tonight and sprint quali sessions. Chris, this is going to be exciting.
Oh, yes, it is. A lot of people taking part in this series. I think it's fair to say we have a wide range of abilities, but we have got an equally wide range of characters joining us. Now, there are three classes within each category. We've got, now they're not strictly speaking divided into like pro-am and am, but I'll go through it with you and you can make your own judgment as the evening goes on. We have the content creator class. Now, these will be highlighted on the tower with the red background numbers. Some might call this the amateur category. This is what the invited names. But let's face it, with some of the names we've got out there in the content creator class, they are no slouches at all. Then we have this. I'm giggling every time I'm reading this out because these names are great. The sausage kerb category. There's the grey background numbers on the tower, and then we have the apexes and exits, which are deemed as the pro class, the white background numbers. Now, that's not to say that we're not going to have those from the content creator class, and it's not to say that none of those will be challenging up front, but it's going to be interesting to see how our competitors deal with potentially a very big grid with quite a wide range of driver talent. Now, Mike, talk us through this particular circuit. How familiar are you with Valencia?
You know, I personally am not the most familiar with it, and as a result, this is the most recent addition into ACC, actually. This is the newest track added. So a lot of these drivers, I think at this point, most of these drivers should have plenty of experience, but I actually have 0 seat time in there. I've commentated a few races on this track, though, and of course, this is a primarily motorbike-focused circuit, meaning that the curbs are going to be very, very low. So these drivers are going to be trying to push those track limits every single corner. And as a result, we may see a few red laps here in this qualifying. And with a 6-minute quali, that could be absolutely devastating.
Absolutely true. As Mike says, it's only 6 minutes of qualifying ahead of each of our three races. And it's a 20-minute sprint race, meaning any mistake is going to be very, very, very costly. You can see from this camera angle here how narrow the track is. Again, it being motorbike focus is part of the reason for that, but it is quite a flowing circuit. That being said, it's going to be difficult setup-wise to get a really, really good balance. You've got an almighty great start finish straight. But a lot of twisty bits in there. So getting a car really well balanced, really well set up is going to be very, very difficult. Now, I myself, I'm not particularly experienced from a driver's standpoint, so I would defer to the experts on how to go about that. Mike, you've got some time behind the wheel. What is your chariot of choice here in ACC?
My personal choice is going to be the McLaren 720S Evo 2. I absolutely adore that car. I've driven the McLaren basically since I started playing this game about 5 years ago, or 4 years ago at this point. Regardless, it is an amazing car, I've got to say. Especially as of late, it has seen some rather, maybe some may say, unfair balance of performance changes. It is quite good on certain tracks, but I'm sure those will be ironed out, of course. And over the course of time, that car is going to settle back down into its rhythm. It was never the meta car of choice, now it is, but I like to sit on those off-meta cars, so big respect out there to those drivers, especially Jacob Church and the like. They're taking the Lexus on. I saw a Honda NSX on the grid, so we're seeing some variety out there tonight, which I love to see.
We have the vast majority of the cars available in ATC represented. We do have an Aston out there, a few Ferraris, a few Lamborghinis, Evos and Evo 2s, a few Ferrari 296s, quite a few Porsches as well, a couple of BMW M4s. Yeah, we are well represented as far as the car marks are concerned. See, Mike, as soon as you said McLaren, I thought, I like this man. I am right there with you. I am a diehard McLaren fan. And the few times I have driven GT3 machinery, it does tend to be either McLaren or Mercedes flavored. So I'm not sure we've got any Mercs. As I say, we do have that one Honda, which Brave, no, car number 123, Pranav Kalevala is. I mean, Honda has always been in the past a bit of a monster to try and get the hold of. But yeah, I'm just really looking forward to getting into session. The practice session still running on. As soon as the qualifying session begins, we will get into it. Just being queued up by production. Danny Costello in charge of the cameras, and we switch straight to the man with one of my most favourite names in the entire field, Angus Fender. I missed livery submission. I like that. And that's what this series is about. This is about fun. This is about uniting a lot of very well-known people. Ben Raggy McConnell, perfect example, in his beloved McLaren. He's been a die-hard McLaren fan a long time. He's representing the Rag Nation, as he calls it. Look at the amount of cars coming out for the very brief 6-minute qualifying session, and that again, because the field is so big, the mistakes are more likely to happen. Slipstreaming along that back straight is going to be a bit of a thing, but that of course is going to put you right in the heart of trouble if you do get it wrong. Arjun Lakshmi and I knew I'd get this wrong. Narasimhan in the number 45. So he's one of our Ferrari runners. Few wonderful looking cars, few liveries that are somewhat questionable. I'll go on that, but yeah, my mouth is running away with me. Luke Whitehead, he's one where I expect to see towards the top end of the field. No matter what sim machinery Luke is in, he is rapid as hell. So he's in a very lively Porsche, it looked like, getting on the brakes.
You know, I touched on this earlier, but we are going to see these drivers, 40 drivers in fact, all fighting for track position, 2.4 miles on this track, and they have to manage to find a small little gap here. And I touched on it that it's a very high likelihood we're going to be seeing some invalid laps. So even these bigger names out there, they may get caught up in some traffic. Look at the queue forming as well. Oh no, and there's even some bumping and banging to go on as well. This is, as I said, this is going to be an interesting quali session.
Oh yes. Let's watch Todd Brown then, as we would debrief each other as the camera got away. That's unfortunate, but we will ride on board with someone as they are going to do their quali lap. We have less than 4 minutes remaining of it. So there's Pranav Kalevala, beg your pardon, in the number 123. So that is the lone Honda NSX. I believe it's the lone Honda out there. I can't think of another one into this. Did see a Mercedes out there. Valentin Berrier, another potential front runner there. He is in the number 72. The Frenchman is running the Mercedes. Where is he? He is just coming through the middle part of the lap. No, beg your pardon. That's towards the beginning part of the lap. So Kerb Nieto is let's turn at the top of the map. You can see how busy the track is from the track map on the right hand side. There's Jacob Church representing the Stars and Stripes. That's a colourful livery, but again also representing the Lexus. Now you mentioned Jacob before we came on air, Mike. Yeah, that's an interesting car choice. Mike, do you want to take us on a lap of this wonderful circuit with Luke Whitehead in the number 55 Porsche?
Be my absolute pleasure as we now tuck it in here to turn one. Very quick left-hander. The next corner approaches fairly quick as well, as it's a bit of an off-camber left-hander. Understeer is going to be the battle. You can see as he fights that wheel, seesawing at it a little bit. Luke Whitehead, though, an absolute expert in this machinery. Now, as we come through the turn 4 and 5 complex, a bit of a double apex. The big moment mid-corner, that's going to definitely cost him at least half a tenth, potentially upwards of 2 tenths even. Now, with a bit of a slipstream, though, this will help as we come, though, into a bit of an awkward turn complex. This entire track, of course, made for motorbikes. This is one of those corners that's so easy to invalidate on as we wash wide here. We are going to remain within track limits. Nicely done so far here from Luke Whitehead. Now you can see, can't really see actually the apex there, but we are going to be clipping that nicely. A bit of a moment mid-corner. We pick up the throttle again. This next corner is going to be a very quick and aggressive snap to a long left-hander where you slowly have to open that steering wheel up the penultimate corner here, heading into the final. And it's going to be a nice lightish braking zone. Get the car stopped, Constantining up, going to have a bit of a slipstream, actually a bit of a moment there mid-corner. Did that keep that lap valid, in fact? Come to the line, Luke Whitehead. It will be an invalid lap.
Invalid. Well, you did say that he struggled a little bit. He's right behind the McLaren, the number 720 McLaren of Merrin van Veen. So that is not going to be helping him at all. There's John Munro. Again, a very, very rapid driver, the number 23 Porsche. But at the top of the tree at the moment is the number 1, Chris Warner in the McLaren. So again, he's representing our brand well, Mike. I very much applaud that. Charlotte Perkins, 463. That's another one of our McLarens. So quite a populous choice. Not overwhelmingly so, but there are quite a few McLarens out there. She's just coming over the line now in the 463 car up to 17 just briefly. And then a few more laps coming in. With such a big field, finding space is very, very difficult. There's Angus Fender up into second position. That's going to make me chuckle every time. That was I missed livery submission number 22. A potential pole up though. He's 2 and a bit tenths down from Warner at the when they came over the line last time. Qualifying session about to end. So a bit of slipstream being picked up by the Porsche. Can he dethrone Chris Warner? We will know. Yes, he does by 0.02 of a second. That's not a surprise. The time's being so close. But can Chris Warner reclaim that top spot in the 111 McLaren? The number 94 car, that's the Ferrari of Manuel Rodriguez, up into third. Well, was briefly. Then another McLaren enters the top spots. The 787 car of Ricardo Rivera. Very nicely done indeed. Can Chris Warner improve? He does not. So in the tail end of the qualifying session, that's a pole spot at the moment. Go to Angus Fender. That's gone a bit wrong for Todd Brown in the number 30 McLaren. So that's a gorgeous red and black livery on his car. But still, a fifth place start is a pretty strong place to be. But you know how packed it's going to be coming down into turn one with this many people all chomping at the bit to improve their position.
This is going to be so exciting. The first corner, I will say, is a very quick left-hander. The Constantina effect drivers are going to need to be aware of. It's going to happen fairly quick, and I'm sure a lot of these drivers, it's a varying, as you touched on earlier, though, a varying level of skill here, as we have quite the difference in timings. Normally, of course, in the esports events, you're going to expect to see about a second throughout the entire field. Here we have about, well, currently 6 seconds. I think that lap by Cahill was not quite up to the standard that he would have liked. But still, one thing I also noticed, there were a lot of drivers there. In fact, from P33, 7 drivers that did not manage to set a valid lap.
That's a lot of invalidated lap times. So we could well be seeing some charges from the tail end of the field for those trying to improve, those that have the pace. But you touched on this earlier, Mike. This is a recent addition to ACC, and it's also a track that we don't see a lot in other sims. Again, probably primarily because it is a bike racing circuit rather than a GT or a single-seater circuit. So this is going to really test those that can drive much more on their instincts rather than relying on muscle memory and circuit knowledge. So let's head to the grid then for a grid war. Mike, do you want to take this away, sir?
Absolutely. As we have it here, starting off in P1, Angus Fender, the number 22 car with Chris Warner in P2. Up on the front row, Ricardo Rivera in third, the 787 Puerto Rico E-Racing driver with Miguel Rodriguez in P4. Todd Brown going to be fifth quickest in the number 30 with Wilf Paduano in P6. We have James White in P7 with Martin Van Veen, eighth quickest. John Murno going to be rounding out ninth there with our top 10, Lucas Egger. We have David, I apologize, David, Dashvili, apologies, in P11 with Tom Ventures in P12, John Gray in 13th. Alex Schender is going to be in 14th quickest with Arjun, Lakshmi, and Narasimhan in the 45 Ferrari P15. Ryan O'Sullivan, 16th quickest with Joe Boyle in P17. Ed McConnell bringing up behind him in 18th with Ricardo Claro in P9. David Perel in P20 with Daniel Tomlinson in 21st. Luca Ziege, 22nd quickest with Tommy Brine in P23, the 117. Matthias Mamela in P24 with Ilippo Rautsulainen, 25th quickest, the number 666. Pranav Kalevala in P26 as well, with Charlotte Perkins bringing up the P27 slot and Steve Worrell in 28th. Luca Murno in P29 with Yannick Hustin in P30. Michael Wolk in 31st with Idris Kali Company in 32nd. Jacob Church, now we're getting into the drivers here that did not set a lap. Jacob Church with an invalid lap starting off in P33. Valentina Barrier in P34. We have Grantas Krachek in P35 with Christoph in the number 11 and 36. Also, Yaroslav Honik in 37th, George Boothby 38th, Samir Foch in 39th, and Luke Whitehead in 40th. I have a sneaking suspicion, Chris, that those drivers started from the back intentionally.
Could well be. I wouldn't put it past, especially Yaroslav Honzik. I wouldn't also be surprised if Honzik and Whitehead planned it. Because they have crossed swords many, many times. They know what this is about. Again, this is about bringing major names in the ACC community together as a whole. So it's, yes, there's points. Yes, there's a championship to kind of race for. But this is all about fun. And that can very often be kind of overlooked in major series. All of these guys have certainly, a lot of the major hitters that we're expecting have competed at the very pinnacle, where every lap time is crucial. Everyone is looking to scrutinize every pixel you go wide. Here, that's not really the case. There's no kind of pressure other than your own personal pride to do well. So this is a great opportunity to just let loose and have some fun. So it doesn't surprise me at all that we're seeing a last to first potential challenge from the likes of Yaroslav Honzik and Luke Whitehead in particular. But exactly as you say, Mike, that does mean that we are going to be looking forward to some real charges from the back of the field. But look how busy this is. This is going to be utterly nuts coming down into turn one.
Yeah, overtaking opportunities are thin here, so we'll see how those back runners can manage here in race one. Now, of course, we have 3 races tonight. This is not just one with GT3s. In fact, it's going to be 3 over the course of multiple cars. We have GT3s up in this current race. After that, of course, we're going to have Porsche Cups over at Imola, and to boot after that, Ferrari Challenge at Monza on their home circuit.
That's going to be awesome. Now the 2x2 line doth form. Now it is time to do away with whatever nerves these guys have had, especially those towards the front are probably looking behind them thinking that's a lot of headlights staring at me. So our lead Porsche, Angus Fender, alongside the lead McLaren of Chris Warner. Lead Ferrari of Rodriguez, the number 94, starts 4th. Lead Lamborghini in 5th. Lead BMW of Egger in 10th. We are away. It is let them loose then. Oh, look at that bit of door rubbing. There's probably a lot of door rubbing. We can just see that one at the front. But in comes the Porsche, just takes the apex, runs a little bit too wide as Warner tries to come back underneath. Fender, can he get it done? Nearly impact between the two. Oh, that's someone skewing towards the wall. That's number 4. That's John Gray. Had he keep, it looked like he did manage to keep that out of the wall. God knows how. Your brakes must be on fire by this point. But now Warner is up into the lead. You've got Ricardo Rivera in the 787, the Puerto Rican, trying to challenge for second position. But right behind him, look at this. So close. Bit of a gap forming 5th to 6th. But that isn't going to stay too long. There is John Gray from second down to last. But he has managed to catch the back of the field pretty quickly. Let's get it on.
Gotta say, an electric start up at the front from Chris Warner, managing to take that position from Angus Fender. Of course, there was a little bit of bumping and banging as we saw there in a straight line. You never like to see that, but luckily, both drivers managing to get off pretty much unscathed. Ricardo Rivera there in the Puerto Rico e-racing car, trying to make moves onto Angus. He definitely smells blood in the water and feels a weakness there for the I missed livery submission of Angus Fender. Will Caduano behind, about half a second falling off with Martin Van Veen, and Todd Brown breathing down his neck currently.
There's one of the few BMWs in the field, the number 28 car, Lucas Egger. Part of the sausage curbs contingent, the silver marked number plate. That's number 44 that's gone round. Who's that? That's Yannick Hosteen. One of the Lamborghinis who's having to go, well, sightseeing really to get back on circuit. So he rejoins. There's going to be plenty of other thrills and sports as the day goes on. We're now looking at the number 11 Ferrari. Oh, that's a lot of exploring going on outside of turn one. That's giving him a bit of momentum on the Audi ahead. Number 14, Steve Worrell. Oh, again, one of the few Audis out there. George Boothby in the treble 9 car in... Oh, no, I'm not going to hide it. That's a hideous livery, sir. But George Boothby up into 17th place in the McLaren. He may not look good, but he is going fast.
Not only is he going fast, he is rapidly gaining positions in that number 999. He is up 21 from where he started in the back of the grid in 38th position. Not only that, of course, we have Grantas as well in the number 19. Oh, big contact there between Miguel Rodriguez and White in front. They're going to have a little bit, hopefully no love lost there. Rodriguez is going to have to tuck behind and be a little bit more patient with the BMW, though, breathing down your neck. That's going to be quite the challenge.
Yeah, I wonder if he was trying to do a bit of bump and run there on the number 12 Ferrari of James White, but didn't pay off for him. And Egger's gained another position since we looked at him. Is he the sole BMW? No, there was due to be another one out there, but I don't think Gert Fischer is with us. No, he's not. As out of the pits comes one of the Lamborghinis. There's a spinner at the final corner. I can't quite see which car number it is. There it is. It's David Perel in the South African, and the number 38 Coach Dave Academy Ferrari is stationary. You've got that rolling R. I can't do the rolling R properly that you need for Scandinavian names. But in the Aston Martin, under pressure by the 199 car, that is Lucas Seeger in the 911. So that's actually the old spec Porsche that he's bringing out to play.
Very interesting. Take a second look at that one. I'd be very curious. Of course, the new 992 I think is a 911 as well, but if he is using the old 911, that is a bold statement. But I have actually, now that you mention it, is recalling to me that 911 may actually be better, the old one, to some drivers. I know it's all preference, and of course the 992 very good as well. Of course, though, since that 1.9 update that's come out, the suspension a little bit softer. Ooh, here we go. Lovely send from the Audi. Gonna stick his nose down the inside of Illipo Rautsulainen. Illipo holds the outside line, gets on the throttle nice and early. In fact, that's going to be the Audi off track, losing not one position, potentially two here as well.
Oh, from an attack to a defense, and that's gone horribly wrong for... Oh, and he's still bouncing off of cars. It's impossible to know where to look. It's Ben Raggy McConnell up into 12th, where he started around 18th or so, as the fastest lap has just been claimed. It's going to change hands numerous times more, let's be honest. But Merlin Van Veen has claimed that one. We now look at the name that both me and Mike have rehearsed and still can't get right. The German in the 728 car, that's David Naskidashvili. That's as close as I'm going to get, and I apologise every time I try and say it. But he is chasing Lucas Egger, who again has been kind of making slow progress up through the field. He's now up to 7th, but does have a gap to close in on the number 12 Ferrari. Look further down, back at Ben McConnell with the number 30 Todd Brown McLaren on his tail. That's not an ideal line for the number 6 McLaren. Oh, it's as White is kind of bowed out of that one a little bit. It's not White, beg your pardon. That's Brown, different colour. It's about out of that, but look right behind them. Here comes the ever very colourful George Boothby trying to get involved in this particular fight. 3 McLarens. Well, there's actually a number of McLarens in this particular queue, but there's a bit of a gap. Oh, McConnell nearly 3 wide as Brown tried to make the move, and now George Boothby on the inside line has managed to wrestle 13th as he... Oh, they're still going at it. That's going to give Ben McConnell a bit of breathing space in the number 6 car. Well, considerably a very big bit of breathing space considering what everybody else has. Oh, look at that. I think Todd had to bow out of that a little bit, but he's still hung on in there. Still side by side. This is about half a lap these two McLarens have been fighting for.
This is true talent at its finest. George Boothby, of course, I think is a name that needs no introduction. A very talented driver in every sense of the word, to be completely honest. The number 999, holding it out onto the outside, trying to go for the off-the-track pass, is going to stick with it. They're still side by side. Coming now into turn 2, the outside line for George Boothby. He is absolutely ruthless. You can see the knife gritted between his teeth. This is absolutely electric, Chris.
This is absolutely incredible. They're still going at it. They are, but again, this just highlights this. They are having a lot of fun out there. If it was, in other circumstances, one of them probably would have bowed out by now. But Todd Brown is like, yeah, I know who you are. I know how famous you are. I'm still giving it everything I've got, quite right as well. And that has brought in Luke Whitehead, who we know started at the back of the field in the number 55 Porsche. He's rumbling over the dirty stuff as well. But right ahead of him, it's Luke's Porsches look really, really loose all night so far. But the number 19 ahead, Grantas Caracas in the McLaren. As we go have a spinner, that's the 47 that's gone round. That's Will Paduano. You mentioned him earlier on, the Lamborghini. He's just recovering, but of course, with there being so many cars out there, he's got to be very, very careful how he rejoins the circuit.
Yeah, very tight track, not too many rejoin opportunities. He does manage to find a slot safely, luckily. We're taking a look here at Grantas. Grantas, he is up 20 positions from where he's up 21 now, as he's actually made that overtake happen onto Luke Whitehead. Now we see side-by-side action between the two sister cars. There's no team orders here tonight. We're going to go 3 wide into turn 2. My goodness.
That could have gone a little bit wrong, as Luke Whitehead ends up punching one of the McLarens in the face, but still carrying on. And again, look how loose these cars are. They are dancing all over the place whenever they get kind of slightly agitated. So let's have a replay then from the number 47 car, which is Will Paduano. What happened to him? Now, this is the Lamborghini we saw just recovering from his incident. Whoops, there he goes. Has he kept it out of the wall? No, he's very much united his Lamborghini with the concrete barrier. But again, now he opted to take the safer but probably more costly route of not just reversing straight back onto circuit. Very considerate to his fellow man. Oh no, that's Chris Warner! Race leader, the Triple One McLaren's gone off. Well, if he can, it shows you how difficult this circuit is in this GT3 machinery. That's all the way down to 8th position from our former race leader.
My goodness, he started in P2, of course, had an electric start, getting that, stealing that position at P1 with a ruthless overtake, and I'm very curious to see, as we're going to pull up a replay very soon here, of what happened. But side by side, George Boothby right now, the McLarens are bumping and banging in a straight line, going now into the first corner, the McLaren, both McLarens, but we have the 19 on the outside, or is that McConnell? Ben McConnell on the outside, and Boothby down the inside. Looks like that is gonna be job done and dusted, but that little error has allowed the two sister cars to remain side by side. And you see 2 by 2 now coming through sector 1 with a little bit more contact.
That's Whitehead in that group. He's the only non-McLaren in that particular pack, as Luke Whitehead just gave Ben McConnell a bit of a punch in the face. So Ben in the black McLaren, surrounded by fellow British machinery, as he's trying to hang on to the top end of the team positions. Grantas Caracas in the 19, trying to get alongside Todd Brown, who's trying to get alongside Ben McConnell. Oh, someone's going to have to lose out here. Someone has to bow out. I think Ben McConnell is the one that's lost out a little bit. No, not quite. He is bowed on the inside of Todd Brown. Another contact. I'm not sure who that was. That was going a little bit slowly. That was Warner again. Oh no, he's plummeting down the field. There's Chris Warner in the Triple One McLaren. It's all got a horribly wrong. There goes Boothby again. Oh, goodness me. Right, replay to... where's Boothby going? He's going for an explore on the outside line. Oh dear, replay, right. Chris Warner. This is where it all went wrong for him to start with. So he just got... You can see how raised that green AstroTurf is on the inside line. Again, nearly 3 wide coming into turn 1.
Wow, this is absolutely electric. And yeah, as he bottomed out through that corner, but that is in the past. We see, big send from George Boothby. Makes contact there with the Ferrari. Porsche somehow managing to retain the lead of this battle for now. But this is an unstewarded series. Keep that in mind, everyone. And I think that all of these drivers are clearly well aware of that.
Yeah, it's so true. The Whitehead now leads this particular parade. Look how long this line is. That's not because Luke is slow, absolutely not. He started last and is now in 8th. So that alone shows you how quick he is. But this is just how close these drivers are that have worked their way through the field. So yeah, this is some of the best in the business as far as ACC is concerned. But we've got battles going on all over the place and will continue for the remaining 8 minutes. 20 minutes racing flies by so quickly when you've got this level of entertainment going on. There's Ben McConnell down into 14th, now loses the tail slightly as he's got the number 11 on his case. The exceedingly pink Lamborghini of that's the Jaroslav Honzik. Oh, yeah, well, I'm not surprised it's that colour considering how colourful his character is, and he goes on the inside line of Raggy McConnell. Can the Czech ace get that one done? Still side by side, bit of a bang between the two. Again, Jaroslav Honzik has been sim racing a very long time, and there is nothing that man can't drive, and he does just about manage to wrestle that position from Ben McConnell. Look at your picture right hand side, that's Boothby just having an argument with Luke Whitehead, and not for the first time either. Those two again regularly crossing swords. Sorry Mike, you're barely getting a word in X-rays. There's so much going on here.
No, this is absolutely incredible. We're tuning in here with now Ben, who is in front of Chris. After that error we saw from Chris Warner, he is going to be on an absolute charge. I always mention there is a little red mist that these drivers see. Here's a lovely attempt. This is for the race lead, in fact. Ricardo Rivera trying to make a move here on to Angus Fender on the outside, trying to go for the long way around. It isn't going to happen yet. The switchback attempt, though, is going to be open for him if he wants it, but he doesn't quite have the exit momentum. Tucking now into sector 3, 3 more corners to go. It's going to be a fun battle up at the front with 6 minutes 36 seconds left to go. Also, so much scrapping still in that mid-pack as whoa, that Porsche getting a very loose back end. Now that is just Porsche things right there in the John Murno Racing Porsche number 23. On a charge to make that position over the BMW. Whoa, here we go. Some side-by-side action between the Ferrari and the Lamborghini. And it looks like the Ferrari's going to have the advantage. The Lamborghini sends it down the inside of the McLaren with a little bit of clattering. And Chris Warner kind of has one of the best seats in the house for this.
That he does. Luke Whitehead claims the fastest lap of the race. Not that that really means a great deal because no one's had a clean lap out there all race long. Let's be frank. When the pack is this heavily condensed. But that was Honzik barreling on the inside of McConnell again, and now Chris Warner involved in that particular battle. Warner having a look on the inside line. Can he get it done? Not quite. As and again a huge slide. That's all these cars are so loose. I'd be terrified trying to drive in a pack like this with a car that loose.
You know, this is the one thing that we need to remember as well. This is race 1 of 3 tonight. Now, keep that in mind. These are the cars that these drivers are most familiar with. Chris Warner with a send now onto the inside. He tucked out of that. Looked like he almost made an error. Oh, a little deep into the corner. Has some side contact there. And now we're going to go 3 wide down the back. Not so straight. Chris Warner. Oh, no, there's contact under braking between the Ferrari and the McLaren. Or those are both McLarens. It's so hard to tell. Chris manages to slip by.
That was McConnell into the back of...
oh, no!
Oh, no! There's a spin! Todd Brown is coming to... Ryan O'Sullivan, that was the McLaren that Ben McConnell tapped the back off under braking. I can't want to say Ronnie O'Sullivan. No, not the snooker player. That's that's another car around the 1, 2, 3. You can see on the map. That's Cavalli. I did that again. Calavala in the Honda. The beast from the east has claimed another victim there, as we see I think it's a Lamborghini coming through the pits. Again, can't tell at that range which one it is, but Luke Whitehead challenging for position. There is Calavala in the 1, 2, 3 Honda in the pit lane. Still plenty of side-by-side going on. Some slightly unusual cameras going on, I grant you, but it's still bringing us all the action. So that's Whitehead. He's just been taken out of 8th position by Boothby. Right ahead of them is Naskidashvili. Again, as close as I'm going to get. I apologise in advance.
That would actually sounded pretty good, but George Boothby is going to be... Oh, George Boothby is off! George Boothby is round! I have no idea what caused that. Was there contact involved there? We're surely going to get a replay of that soon. Rejoins the track just in front of Chris Warner, his buddy who he's probably seen at the front multiple times in plenty of races, but now they are going to rejoin side by side. The only issue is George has some dirty tires. Well, clearly that doesn't matter. He can still, even with grass on his tires, outbrake the likes of Chris Warner. Now that is true talent.
Yeah, absolutely. So no one told George that overtaking is difficult here. But on they go nonetheless. Now you see George's name go down the tower a little bit, down to 13th place. But still a few minutes to go. Up towards the top, Ricardo Rivera in the 787 McLaren, still challenging Angus Fender in the 22 Porsche. Riding on board then with the Puerto Rican driver. He's having a look at the inside. No, that door gets closed off by the pink accented Porsche. 4 seconds back is the number 720 McLaren, Marion Van Veen. So they haven't got any immediate challenge behind. So Ricciardo just concentrate purely on keeping all the pressure on the Porsche. Not too many laps left though to try and force that mistake. And at the moment, Angus Fender looks pretty bulletproof in the leading Porsche.
Yeah, he most certainly does. He really hasn't put a foot wrong this entire race. He qualified on pole position, has, well, not managed to hold it. He actually lost that position we saw earlier on to Chris Warner. Chris Warner, unfortunately, bottoming out, though, with that low McLaren in a relative, well, not relatively high. It's actually a fairly low quarter. Just that's the McLaren, just McLaren things as well there. Ricciardo, though, keeping up, biting at the heels here of that Porsche as he has a great look at the diffuser. Coming now onto the back straight, or back kind of straight-ish. 3 more corners to go here before we complete this lap, and we're going to be on our penultimate lap, I think, Chris.
I think you're right there, Mike, as these two come through the final corner. It looks quite difficult trying to brake and turn at the same time, but they do manage to keep the cars on the straight and narrow. It's now or never, really, for Ricardo Rivera. He's got to get the move done and make it stick long enough for the checker flag to come out. So on they go, that gap back to Marion Van Der Veen, still in the 4-second region, as we now see the battle for 16th position. Ricardo Claro, the Portuguese driver, in the exceedingly bright Lamborghini. That is Ben McConnell that's gone too deep in the final turn. I wouldn't be surprised if everyone's tyres are really starting to overheat with the amount of work they're having to do. As we see the Lexus coming back on circuit. Oh, they're going to be horrible. Yep, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised he took the scenic route there, the safest way of rejoining when this pack is this close. And right behind McConnell, you've got Foch in the treble A car, Samir Foch, getting through on the older spec 488 GT3 Evo up into what will be 18th position.
Yeah, Samir Foch here going to be trying to get over Ben McConnell as well, but Ben and Todd having to deal with Ricardo Claro, and Ricardo Claro with a very clear overtake there on to Todd after that little bit wide. Here we go, though, side by side again. Todd Brown on the inside line. This actually looks like it's fairly sign stamped and delivered there for Chris. Not too much of a fight from Ricardo.
Not this time, but Chris has really been struggling, and exactly as you say, Mike, these are the machinery that these drivers are likely to be most familiar with. Yet it has really caught a few people out. Yet he's allowed some people to sing, really show what they're capable of. Final lap here in Spain for this absolutely thrilling race. Fender still fending off Rivera. Porsche versus McLaren is absolutely thrilling and is going to remain so for the remaining 2.5 miles as the McLaren got a look on the inside line. They managed to avoid impact just about, that was pixels width away.
I nearly fell out of my seat there. My eyes got so wide as well. That is insane. Okay, Ricardo Rivera here. He is getting impatient. You can tell he's running out of opportunities. Angus Fender, who has not put a wheel wrong this entire time. It looks like he is going to hold out for now. The biggest overtaking opportunity in Turn 1 has been thwarted. However, there is still that looming threat of making an error at any point in time. And now I'm not sure. I don't think these drivers have to worry too much about track limits. We do see a drive-through penalty, though, from Joe Boyle down in P21. Now, that is something I sort of alluded to earlier, that track limits will be a problem. It hasn't been too much tonight in the race session. But still behind nip and tuck between these two drivers.
Renaud Calavala again in trouble in the Honda. You can see it's difficult to avoid because they're... Oh, no! That's not the first victim of that particular curb we saw Chris Warner from the lead do exactly the same thing. So that has gifted Angus Fender a clean run to the line. Your winner for the GT3 race here in Spain is Angus Fender, the number 22 Porsche. But who's they going to bring through into second is Merin van Veen, who's had a comparatively lonely race compared to everybody else. And then coming through for third, looks like it's going to be the Ferrari as well. John Monroe's got sixth. There's a big old squabble for the last podium spot. It does indeed go to the number 12, James White in the Ferrari. And Lucas Egger's already parked in the pit lane. Oh, we have destruction on the start-finish line. But again, this is just people enjoying their time out here. There's penalties out there. I don't think anybody's really going to care. What a race we've seen and still going on.
Yes, indeed. As we see here, Tommy Bryan going at it with the number 14. Oh, that's going to probably put an end to it, though. The back end of the Porsche steps out. Now, one thing I will say is hopefully we don't see too much of that in the future, is a lot of these drivers do have direct drive wheels, and that actually can be quite dangerous to have collisions like that. So you really never like to see things like that, to be honest. I understand the celebration, but you never like to see that. Tommy Boyle, he is going to have to contend here with P27, unfortunately. A valiant attempt at the end, but unfortunately thwarted by Worrell, and that is going to be that. P26 and 7 decided to the line.
Indeed. Wow, what a way to open tonight's festivities, the community clash. We get to breathe now, but it's going to be like this all night long. That's what the GT3 machinery was like. And like you said earlier, Mike, we've got 2 races left to go on their single spec. So it's going to be even more interesting as we switch cars. Hopefully we get a chance to chat to some of our drivers. They will need to make themselves known to us, obviously, but not mandatory, but it's always great to have a chat with our drivers post-race, especially after a race like that. That was fantastic.
Oh, the blood's got to be pumping up there in the top 3. I know there was a couple drivers that maybe didn't quite have the opportunity, but to really show us what they had. I mean, Merin kind of on his own throughout the entirety of this race, the 5-second gap in both directions. But one thing I want to touch on real quick as well is we have Porsche Cups coming up next. Now that's going to be at Imola. And we just saw, of course, these are the GT3s. Now, these are the cars that the drivers have practiced the most of. Almost assuredly, this is what the main content is in the game. And it's what people are here for. Now, the Porsche Cup cars, I don't know how much experience a lot of these drivers have. However, there is one massive thing lacking in those cars that the GT3s don't have, and that is traction control. So we are going to be seeing some tires getting lit up and some rear ends being spun around, I predict here, and it is going to be quite fun.
Oh, yeah. When you go from comparatively comfortable or familiar GT machinery with traction control, I've done this in my very limited sim racing lifetime of going from one spec of car to another. Oh yeah, it takes you a few laps to readjust to how the car behaves. Now these Porsches, they're not slow. They're in a straight line. Indeed, they can probably overhaul the GT3s, but they are, well, they're animals. Quite frankly, they are very, very difficult cars to keep a hold of consistently for a race distance. That's going to be the deciding factor of how well these drivers can go from the GT3 machinery that they know and love to these lesser familiar but really quite challenging GT cars. Very much looking forward to this.
We're going to see some replays here coming up, guys. And as we have it, though, I got to say, just an absolutely electric race. And big shout out, of course, to Angus Fender, Merin van Veen, and James White for managing to sneak on. James White sneaking onto that podium. How many positions? He gained 4 positions from P7. Our biggest gainer, though, Luke Whitehead. He was up 33 positions, Chris.
Wow. Absolutely great stuff. So here it is then. That's how the start started for most cars. We did see a few skewing off towards the wall, and there is Angus Fender. Started towards the top 3 and maintained that position throughout. Yeah, that's where Chris Warner started to build that particular lead before his mistake plummeted him, very much into the clutches of the midfield. But it was just, there was no let up in this race at all. There's no complaint about that particular fact whatsoever.
No, most certainly not. And the 22 car here had a bit of a scrap as well at the start, gotta say, but it really got rewarded. The patience paid off at the end of the day. And that is really what separates the good and the great drivers, I think, is that ability to not only have that cunning overtake ability, but also to be able to wait and sit and just bide your time, as there is, in a 20-minute race, there isn't much time, but there is. You still have a little bit of time to work with, and just because you're leading the race doesn't mean you're going to win.
Very, very true indeed. And that's another aspect of sim racing. Whoop, that was someone that dropped it rather spectacularly, but allowed the momentum of the car to carry them out of harm's way. So well driven indeed, or well spun. Call it as you will. But this is what we had all race long, wasn't it? It's just this intense, pressure being applied, defensive driving in places, punch and counter punch in certain spots, as we see one of the McLarens exit stage right. But yeah, this is what we'd love to see. Again, this is what you can. This is why a lot of people rightly love GT racing. These things can take a bit of a bump. They can take a knock here and there. They're not fragile Formula machinery. So yeah, you can really get your elbows out, get stuck in without fear of bits breaking off.
Yeah, they definitely, compared especially to your Formula One cars, which Chris, you may be a little bit more familiar with. But yeah, lots of quite a few actually. Especially the modern day GT3 cars, the McLaren Evo 2, for example, or that Ferrari 296. You can see a lot of sticky outy bits on that front end, and of course those can get damaged and whatnot when you hit the wall. But a lot of it, of course, comes from underneath the car, as well as just everything else. These cars are very reliant on mechanical grip as well as their downforce. Now, a lot of these cars, as soon as especially the McLaren in particular, if you touch that diffuser, even with a light tap, it actually makes the car very, very unhappy. And I think the Ferrari in a similar boat, but I think not as much so. But very exciting, I gotta say, and I cannot wait to see these Porsche Cup cars out as well. This is gonna be so much fun. Big sends here from George Boothby in the replays. But one thing I gotta say, hopefully, we don't see as much straight line contact as we did here in race one.
I think we will to start with, because it's fairly inevitable when the field is this heavily condensed. But again, look at the slide there for John Munro. That was a fantastic maneuver there to get around a slow-moving Lamborghini sideways. That is fantastic.
That is what you call applying the proper slip angle right there and making a solid overtake.
Wow, absolutely superb. And yeah, the ever-present George Boothby, as he continued to carve his way through from starting near the back of the field, as a number of our, shall we say, quicker drivers elected to do. And it'd be interesting to see whether they do that in the less familiar machinery. That's very much looking forward to. But we move our location. We head to the wonderful region of Italy known as Imola. And this is such a historic circuit, more ingrained in the racing DNA than the likes of where we've just been, of course, but that doesn't make the circuit any easier. But at least somewhere like here, the drivers have to think less about the circuit and where they have to learn how the circuit flows. This will be a bit more familiar to them, but it just means they have to learn more about what the car is doing, because that won't be as familiar as the GT3 machinery, as we've said.
No, most certainly not. And I do predict we will, we'll see actually if they qualify or not. I don't know. I'd love to see what they can do as well. Of course, you have the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Idino Ferrari. I've definitely butchered that, but otherwise known as Imola. We have 3 miles, 3.0 miles, 4.9 kilometers. A track, as you said, rife with history, both ups and downs, founded in 1958. And here we have it, though. The cars coming out on the circuit.
I'd say you got that spot on, Mike. I was very impressed. You got that rolling R thing going on. I can't do that. I'm not jealous. You have no proof. But here we go then. Out they come now. You might think that those that have raced the Porsche GT3 machinery may have a bit of an advantage. Not necessarily, because like we said, these cars don't really behave in the same way that GT3s do. They are really quite raw. They don't have the driver aids behind them, and in a straight line they can actually outdo GT3 machinery. They don't have the braking and cornering efficiency of the GT3 brethren. And without driver aids to help them slow down, or more importantly, speed up again, It's going to be much more down to driver ability.
Yeah. Most certainly, as we have it, and these guys, I will say, a couple of these drivers, I do know from experience from commentary, that some of these drivers do actually have some experience behind the wheel of this Porsche Cup car. But look at this absolutely stunning, in a way that you may describe positive or negative, livery of the Happy B-Day Foch. Now, is it Foch's birthday today? Does anyone in chat have confirmation there? Is it Foch's birthday? Because if so, that is a very nice tribute livery there from Garrett Fisher.
I'm not sure I share your enthusiasm with that one, Mike, but good to see Garrett Fisher joining us. Of course, he had just missed the Valencia race. We didn't see the number 78 out there, but he is with us for this. So, we're seeing cars off all over the place. This is exactly why I was talking about Adam Benjamin in the 990 car. He's just come out of the Aston Martin and is now in the Porsche Super Cup car. So now I can say from experience, although it was a few years ago when I saw these things at Silverstone, these things scream. They make such an incredible noise. As we are on board with Jaroslav Honzik, the ace from Czech Republic. Go on then, Mike, take us away on a lap of the Enzo Igino Ferrari, otherwise known as Imola.
Here we go, as we're heading to the first corner, Imola. Now, this, of course, had a change back in 1992, of course, or 1994, excuse me, for reasons, of course, that I think everyone is familiar with. Through, though, the first corner, clipping those apexes very nicely, the new chicane. Now onto the one. You're going to miss that corner just slightly to wash wide. You can take it a little bit tighter than he did, but of course the curbs going to be a bit of a scare tonight for these cars. No traction control. You really do not want to get on the throttle too early. A bit of a distraction there as we see a car going off track. Shouldn't be too much of an issue, but I did see some seesawing there at the wheel as he goes now through Tosa, heading towards Piratella. Now this is a very fun corner complex. This entire sector coming up is absolutely electric. I love driving this track so much. Chuck it in. Full send through Piratella. Now we're approaching a double corner here. One of the most tricky corners, especially here in these Porsche Cup cars, laying down the power after after we go through Acqua Minerale here, heading up towards Variante Alta. Got a car in the way, a little bit of a slipstream, in fact, didn't impede us too much. Now looking for the braking marker just at the change in curbage. Going to be going for a nice aggressive take onto those sausage curbs. Nicely done. Very controlled at the wheel as well. You see a little bit of corrections, but of course you're going to see more corrections in these Porsche Cup cars. No traction control. It's a bit more of a struggle when it comes to putting that power down on the skinny right pedal. Now through the two Ravazzas. Ravazza 1 looks very tidy. Now the Ravazza 2 onto the start-finish straight where we have, well, technically one more corner to go. The 19th corner here, the kink, or Variante Bassa. And what is the lap time here going to be for Jaroslav Honzik? It's going to be P1, 143.3. Nicely done, 3/10 quicker than Cher in P2.
The number 21, that's Alexander Sesha that's come out of the Ferrari and is currently in P2 as someone is taking a scenic route coming through the Tamburello. We now look at Ricardo Claro, whoops, the Portuguese driver. The number 85 car just coming out of the Ravazza towards the line. A little bit of a compromised exit, I think it's fair to say. It slots into 8th at the moment. I'm not... that's Luke Whitehead that has parked it. He's doing it again, isn't he? He's aiming to start at the back, but it looks like there's more people struggling with this car, so he may end up further up the field than he initially intended. So we now see Krzysztof Mikowski in the number 11. That's that. Now that is a livery. I do like that bright orange car. Marion van der Veen, podium finisher at Valencia. Looking to start. Was looking to start in 5th, suddenly 4th, and he hasn't finished his lap yet. So someone's had their lap time delayed, or they possibly left the session. So over the line comes the bright pink number 720, and that's second, just 100th behind Sesha. Oh, it was our pole sitter. Where's Honzik gone?
Interesting. He must have been disqualified for driving the incorrect direction on track.
He's doing it again. He's wanting to start the back.
Okay.
So he's shown what time he can do. But I think this is it's him and Luke and a number of the content creators looking to start from the back. So he's done an action you would never do as a sim racing driver. You'd never drive backwards on the circuit, but that's why he's trying to start from the back of the field. But we can't see it. Well, we didn't see it happen, so that's why the tower is shuffling around a little bit.
Yeah, and Yaroslav, he is going to be P2 in the championship standings. Of course, massive shout out to SimGrid, providing us with some overall standings for this league. Awesome feature that they have over there currently with John Morano leading it. We also have our other classes as well. Of course, we have 3 classes here tonight: the content creators, the sausage curbs, and the apexes and exits. Lovely names, I've got to say, for everyone. And we have all different classes. Of course, all these results are going to be available over on SimGrid.
Whoops, and that's Lucas kind of chucking the car on the wall. But qualifying has finished. The checkered flag is flown. Anyone still on the lap can, of course, complete it. Whoops, that's not how you complete it, though. So we see Calavala. Several people jumping over the curves at Valencia. There's Wilf Maduano struggled a bit in the GT3 race. Gorgeous bright green number 47. Caught the first apex and the Ravats were a little bit hard. Unsettled the car a bit. Wow, you're talking about a hard curve. Look at 2 cars behind him. Now you're seeing the disqualifications on the board. Honzik, Samir Fosh as well. Luke Whitehead has not done that, but he will be starting in 24th. I wouldn't be surprised if he dropped towards the tail end of the field, again looking to recreate the last of first challenge we saw in the GT3 race. But that is qualifying done, and as we've had the GT3 race, 20 minutes of racing in these very raw Porsche Super Cup cars.
Yeah, and Angus Fender there bringing up pole position at the very end. We actually missed that lap. He snuck it in at this very final lap of the 1:42.4. A blisteringly quick lap in a Porsche Cup car. Chris Warner in P2 with Ricardo Rivera bringing up 3rd this time around. And David in the 7:28. We'll try. It's Naskadashvili. You definitely have a much better grasp on that name than I do, Chris.
I'm not sure I do, but... Yeah, you got the rolling R thing. I'll stick with the person we nicknamed Nashville, because Nashville's actually in his name. We'll stick with that. But we will head to the grid very, very shortly. And Mike, do you want to take us through the grid walk again?
Absolutely, it'd be my pleasure, as we have 39 cars actually this time around joining us, one of them not making it over from the previous session. And it is going to be a dry session here tonight as well. But as we have it, we'll just get into it. Starting, of course, here in P1, it is going to be Angus Fender. Angus Fender with a blistering lap at the very end of qualifying, it is to be said. And actually, we're not even over into the race session yet. My apologies. We'll hold off on that here in a minute.
I can understand your excitement. Let's be honest. But we're just waiting for the session to tick over into qualifying, and then we will go through the grid as we did. As hopefully we'll be heading there very, very shortly. Everybody getting ready to rumble, and around the wonderful turns of Imola. Angus Fender looking to continue his winning ways from the first race, but he had to fight for it. It was not an easy victory for Angus whatsoever in the 992 Porsche. Server's taking its time to tick over, unfortunately, but we will get there. And also, what about those that have elected to start from the back of the field? I mean, we had Luke Whitehead finishing all the way up in 7th from starting on the final row. A number of drivers that we expected to do well, but we're hindered by something in the GT3 machinery. Well, how many cars did we see off the road during the practice session, the qualifying session just now?
I don't think I have enough fingers to count that, Chris, but it was quite a number that have had some invalid laps. Now, Imola, of course, is a track that isn't necessarily tricky due to the nature of its corners it doesn't really have too many corners that are hard in general. It's just the fact that there are 19 of them, 8 of them to the right and 11 to the left, very easy to invalidate at pretty much not any point in time, but the Ravatsas in particular, you're going to see your drivers running wide, Aqua Minerale as well. But as we have it here, why don't we get in now and meet our 39 drivers that we have on this field. So we have, starting off in P1, Angus Fender, the number 22 Porsche driver. It's a Porsche front row lockout. In fact, it's Porsche everyone. What am I talking about? Of course, Porsche Cup cars. Chris Warner in P2 in the number 111 Porsche Cup. We're locking out the front row there with Ricardo Rivera behind in the Puerto Rico e-racing machinery, the 787 in third. We have David I'm so sorry, David, in P4 with Wilf Paduano in P5, Jan Gray bringing up 6th, and Alex Schender in P7. Marin Van Veen in P8 with Ben McConnell, 9th quickest. Ilippo Ratsulainen bringing up 10th. Arjun Lakshmi Narasimhan, 11th quickest in the 45 Porsche, with Michael Walk behind in P12. Ryan O'Sullivan in 13th quickest with Luca Murno in P14. The number 56 machinery with Ricardo Claro in P15. Daniel Tomlinson in P16 with Steve Worrell Company in 17th. James White rounding out 18th quickest in qualifying, the number 12 with Matthias Mamela in 19th. Lucas Edgar in P20 with Pranav Kalavala, 21st quickest. Adam Benjamin going to be company there for Pranav in P22. John Murno in P23 with Idris Kali, 24th quickest. Yannick Huston in P25 with Christoph Mikowski in 26th. The number 11, Joe Boyle in P27, the 125, and Valenti Barrier in 28th. Luke Whitehead, 29th quickest with Charlotte Perkins in rounding out our top 30. Garrett Fisher, 31st quickest. George Boothby Company in P32. We have Grantas Karcheks in P33 with Jacob Church Company in 34th. Tommy Bryan, 35th quickest with David Perel next to him in P36. Yaroslav Honzik in P37 with Lucas Ziege Company in 38th. And last but not least, it is going to be the number 888 machinery of Samir Foch. And the drivers now beginning their outlap here at Imola.
This being a bit of an older circuit, they have got a full lap at slower speeds to do, unlike what we had at Valencia, was about half a lap or so, as Angus Fender nearly come to a halt in the pink accented cars. Bit of a later start time, 20 past 3, not late in the day, but it's light enough for the lights to, dark enough for the lights to have a bit of an effect on the road. Not necessary, but it looks great from this particular camera angle. And again, you get a real appreciation for how big this grid is, considering the leader is some, 3 corners ahead of the tail end of the field?
Yeah, quite awesome.
Just spin! Oh my goodness me, I can't tell you which Porsche that is. Thankfully, you are ghosted during the warm-up lap, so he whoever that was, again, I'm not certain which car was bright orange, as they won't reshuffle on the tower. They will have an opportunity to regain their particular spot. This is a moment that really can jangle the nerves of a driver. You've done all the practice, you've done your quali, now it's time for business. I was always hopeless in this particular. I mean, I was always last and lapped anyway. I can set in the dry what these guys can beat in the wet. So this is why I go for the commentary box seat. I'm far safer for everybody else. I'm not a particularly good sim racer, but the few times I've done it, this was always a nervous time. It's just, I want to get out there and get on with it.
I feel it from the driver's perspective, this is their home, right? This is their work office, their booth, as you would say. We're up here in the commentary booth, well, they're down in theirs in the car. And of course, this is going to be their home. This is what these drivers absolutely live for. And I will say the emotions, especially before a race, those can really be the ones that get you. But now, of course, that is going to be all out the windows. The drivers are dialed in here for 3 miles of tarmac ahead of them.
Right, the 2x2 line reforms as we come through the second Ravazza, the last part of the Ravazza turn. And as soon as the green flag waves, as soon as the race timer begins, everybody will absolutely floor it. It's Fender and Warner at the front again, as we had in the GT3 race in Valencia. Nerves jangling, everyone eyes forward. Everyone at the front hoping that everyone behind them knows where their braking points are, if nothing else. And it's such a long, long way, because the start-finish line is quite some way down the road. Wait for it. We'll see it at the top of the screen. There we go, as we are racing here in Imola. And it looks a pretty good start from Fender, but everybody has gotten away. Now it's going to be this big braking zone into Tamburello, still side by side from the top two, or side by side by most of the field, I would think. Who is not going to come out of it, we will see as the field wanders on. No one flying off into the dust just yet. But still Angus Fender and Chris Warner breaking away a little bit already from the pack, still side by side as they're coming up towards Tozer for the first time. Oh, Warner dives to the inside, that's going to cause an impact between the two. Oh, lots of impact going on towards the tail end of the field. I didn't think it would take long before we had a few bumps and shunts, and unsurprisingly that is what happened. But Warner's lost second to Naskadashvili.
Yeah, and Warner falling down a little bit there is going to retake that back. Ashkadashvili is getting, they're just going to exchange positions, just saying, here, hold on to this for a second and then give it right back. Nonetheless, they move on now into lap one. I will say it's been a much cleaner lap one than I expected. We do see quite a few yellow flags in the background though, but no, very deep there onto the outside. That's going to cause some side-by-side action now into Variante Alta. This is where we're going to see a concertina, but no, these drivers have fanned out one by one. Surprisingly much so by this point in the race. So patience looks like, a rather discretion, the better part of valor for a lot of these drivers. Ilippo Ratsulainen is going to be round, unfortunately, and a few other drivers have had a similar fate. But as we have it here on lap one, we are green, 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 and we are mostly clean.
That's a fantastic race, like that. But yeah, 463 is really, really struggling. You see on the map, that's Charlotte Perkins from the McLaren from the first race. And that's where quite a few cars haven't survived this first opening lap, unfortunately. So as we've got lots of side-by-sides going on, that's Alexander Sescher, the Austrian in the 21 car, challenging Mering van Veen, beg your pardon, there's no der in there. Let's have a look at the race start again. Oh, look at that car already backwards. I didn't see that. I thought everybody had managed to get through Tamburello okay, but we had a car going backwards. Oh, there's one off stage left. And oh my goodness, all the bumping going on. I think that's Boothby. That's just slap. Oh goodness me, it's a big concertina, big domino effect going on. Several drivers affected by that. Quite a few drivers having to return to the pit lane already. But again, it's business as usual up top. Fender fending off Warner.
How did George Boothby get away with that? He got tagged fully sideways, and I'm pretty sure at one point in time he was parallel, or rather perpendicular with the track, and another car hit him and righted him the right way. How he kept control of that, I have no idea. Regardless, we're looking up at the top of the field with Chris Warner now and Angus Fender. These two definitely no love lost here at the start of this race. Looking back now at George Boothby. Actually, that wasn't George Boothby, excuse me, that had made that move. The pink and purple car, we made a mistake on that one on identifying. Apologies. George Boothby up into P12, up, have a little bit of a leap as well over the curbs. And George Boothby, let's see, he is currently in P12, up 20 positions from where he started.
Already, we're only a couple of laps in, superb. He's looking to go side by side into Ravazza. Brave if you can do it. The treble 9 car's gone too deep though, and that's caused an issue for the 45. That's Aaron Lakshmi, now Seaman, that's gone for a bit of a spin. Managed to right it fairly quickly, but that's cost him a huge amount of position. Luke Whitehead, again, a sim racing superstar on the back of Boothby. Again, these two crossing swords many times. That's John Munro in the 23 behind him in the green and white car that is trying to challenge the position. And a couple of cars back. I think that's Sullivan. Whoa, where are you going? You can't do that, sir. Oh, and that was nearly him there. Wow, that could have gone horribly wrong. But Ryan Sullivan does rejoin. He's lost a few positions, so he won't be deemed to have gained an advantage. But yeah, that would have been a bit uncomfortable.
Oh, a momentary mishap there as he forgot where the middle pedal was for a little bit. Luckily, I think he has found it once again. That was very close, though, on a rejoin. I nearly actually took my green screen out behind me. That was extremely close. And we see even more close action here between the number 19 down the inside. That is a lick the stamp and send it move if I've ever seen one. Nicely done. White is going to be relinquished a position after that.
Gratis Caracas in the number 19 has got that move done. Now actually has some, there, he's got away with Porsche as well. Bounces over the tail end of Aqua Minerale. It gets back on the road. These cars can hit the curbs, but they don't like it. They get easily upset. If you do, there is Jaroslav Honzik in the number 39 car. He, again, it's very common to go wide there at what's often also called Grassini. What is these days called Grassini, I believe. But nothing too uncommon there. Side by side here, Gray and Naski Dashvoli in the 4 and 728 cars, still side by side, neither of them blinking at the moment. The number 728 nosing ahead, he's got the outside line. Can the orange Porsche do anything about it? That may well have been the orange Porsche we saw spinning in qualifying. Look how much bouncing there is going on in the suspension of these cars. Oh, well held. The number 4, John Gray, being challenged already. Like I said earlier, any mistake is really magnified because it's a single spec series and because the field is generally very, very close. Ricardo Rivera and the 787 car, the Puerto Rican, is trying to hustle hard. There is Luke Whitehead into 11th position now in the 55, challenging again George Boothby with John Munro in hot pursuit.
These two can be, they're inseparable, to be completely honest. As well, it's hilarious too, because typically when you expect drivers to be battling, you expect them to be losing time. No, these two have been battling this entire race and have managed to gain respectively 21 positions for George Boothby and 17 for Luke Whitehead. It just doesn't seem to bother them. They're still gaining on Edgar ahead, but we see position changes as well. As actually, that's Ricardo Rivera off into the middle of the road. He manages to get off the track in time though, rejoins fairly safely. That could have been absolutely devastating, as having a chicane right before a chicane that you don't expect. Well, that's never quite what you want to see. Side by side again, though, between these two drivers. This is not going to end.
John Munro's got the greatest seat in the house with this battle of the Titans right ahead of him. John Munro is no slouch either. He has got a huge amount of pace. Ooh, wow. How quickly did you want to return to the racing line, Mr. Warner? Struth, that was robust. But Angus Fender's like, nah, sunshine, I'm having that back. As the two refs arguing for race lead at the moment. Warner tries to get the undercut on Fender as Pedrano right behind. Again, it's closing in because of the arguing. Oh, that's a bit deep, is it for Fender? He does like to hold it. Warner again tries to cut alongside the number 22. Can he do it? Well, Fender's got the inside line, and here comes Pedrano to join the party.
Wilf Pedrano is licking his lips right now. He smells blood in the water for both of these drivers, and I think he can see a race lead in his future if he can plan this right and play his cards properly. He just needs to tuck up to the bumper here of Chris Warner and Angus Fender and bide his time and wait. These two drivers are elbows out and scrapping like there's nothing. This is the last lap of the race for them. There's still 12 minutes to go, and that is plenty of time to gain a position.
Absolutely so. We saw on the map, unfortunately, Ben Ricardo, the number 6, has had trouble and fallen towards the rear of the field. Oh, wow, that was quite a lot of curve. We just saw Chris Warner take there. That's put him right in the clutches of Will Pedrano. Number 47 car trying to improve his position, cuts out from the slipstream, coming down towards Ravazza. Difficult braking zone. It's really steep on the way down to what is quite a slow corner. And you do end up heading down there pretty damn fast. So there's the podium battle you see on the left-hand side of the screen, and then there's everybody else that, or almost at least, on screen right. There's Mary van der Veen in challenging for 4th position. Alex Zescher, the number 21 Porsche, trying to... It's fairly pointless saying Porsche in this particular race, but you know what I mean. Oh, there's a challenge for the podium, is it? Can he get it done? Well... they'll beg your pardon, they're not challenge for the podium. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Challenge for 4th, beg your pardon, which Marion van der Veen does get hold of. I keep saying Van der Veen. Again, apologies there, Marion. As, what can Alexander Session do? That's very late. Oh, can he get the move down to the number 4? No, that's John Gray. That's kind of been sent off into the... Oh, wow, that looked like impact just from the tail end of that shot. We'll see whether John Gray sent someone off into the shadow realm. But... And there is John Gray. I suspect that he didn't fare too well from that track rejoin. Oh, what on earth? That's, I think, a missed breaking point there from, I think that was Egger, the number 28 car. Way too deep into Tozo.
That was absolutely not where you want to be, and especially into the side panel of a car in front. We resume, though, with Lucas Egger here chasing down the likes of Cher in front. The number 21 Porsche is going to go on the defensive here. You can see he closes that inside line off. Is he going to have a look? Is that the sister car in front as well as they go side by side? No, they're different teams. Clattering that curve. Big hit there as well, off onto the side. We're going to keep heading now down towards the Ravazzas, as you touched on earlier, Chris. The Ravazza is one of the most important corner complexes here, as it's a slow-speed corner. Oh, big contact off before, but you have to maximize your exit speed. Now into the side panel of the car in front. And then it is insanity.
I misidentified Lucas Egger. It's much more difficult because they're all, of course, in the same shaped car, but it wasn't Lucas Egger I was talking about earlier on. Here's Luke Whitehead, though. In the number 55, he's gotten ahead of Boothby as they are screaming over the line themselves. Flash of the lights, don't know quite what you're trying to tell people. You're not lapping anybody. Oh, it's with that's Caracas, I beg your pardon, in the number 19 car right behind Luke Whitehead. Boothby is a couple of cars ahead, so excuse me on that one. But Luke Whitehead having to play a little bit defensive here, but he's still on the back of the 21. It's Alexander Sesha. Oh, that was someone in trouble. The 199 car I saw, Lucas Siege, from one Porsche to another. He was actually the older spec Porsche in the GT3 race. Unfortunately, he has returned his car back to the pit. Oh, goodness me, everything is flying by so fast. Here comes Whitehead. Good exit from Toza up the hill. Oh, it's a side-by-side right behind them, though, into the Piratella. Brave if you can do it. But that is exactly what's happened. Caracas following. Oh, no, there's Ricardo Claro, the 85 car, the Portuguese driver, stranded at Toza. But he's doing the right thing. He's waiting for a gap, which has compromised his race, obviously, but he's not just barreling back onto track. So he's doing the right thing, but it is very, very costly.
That is one of the most just devastating sights to have, seeing, oh my goodness, way too deep there from the car in front of Caracas. That's Luke Whitefield. It goes way deep and manages to hold on to it. But these cars, of course, they have such stiff suspensions, and that is what you see when they hit these curbs. The cars just sends a shockwave through up into the spine of the driver. And trust me, if this was real life, they would be feeling every little bit of it. Thankfully, though, these drivers not going to need spinal surgery race.
Very, very true. The number 33 on the map struggling a little bit. That's Idris Cahill, who now finds himself on his own. Look at Grantes Caracas in the number 90 car pushing Luke Whitehead forward. A drive-through penalty for Kerb Fisher, who joined us in this race. Missed the first one, but sadly he has got a drive-through penalty. Odds are that is for track limits. Now looking at Ricardo Rivera in 14th position, challenging Luca Monroe. Oh, the two side-by-side on the exit of Tamburello. That's likely to slow them both down into the oncoming jaws of Valentin Barrier and Jaroslav Honzik. There is battles all over the place. Of course there are. That's what these races are all about. Lucas Egger losing a couple of positions. Luke Whitehead's gone ahead of him. Here comes Caracas. Caracas is flying in this race. Staying on the back of Luke Whitehead is no mean feat at all. And that's exactly what he's doing. Challenge for the lead again. Chris Warner still trying to get past Fender.
He is unrelenting currently on his charge, and I gotta admit, if I was Angus Fender, I certainly would be feeling the pressure at this stage. Although he did lead pretty much every lap, but barring the ones that Chris took from him last time. Chris on a redemption arc this time. He wants that win more than any driver out on this field right now. Angus, though, well, don't count him out. Also, drive-through penalty being picked up for, is that George Boothby in P6?
Our lead content creator, or lead of the content creator class. Oh no, that's someone off wide. Oh my goodness me, this is absolutely nuts. I think that was Alexander Sesha that's gone a little bit too wide, the 21 car losing a couple of spots. But yeah, Boothby pushing his luck a little bit too much, has from the top 10, that's got a sting. But look at this lot, Monroe in the middle of Zesha and Egger. That's a strange sentence to ever say, but he's hanging on in there. Lucas Egger trying to really push forward. Oh, you have to use every pixel of space you can, but of course these cars being that much more difficult to drive. As George Boothby kills a cone on his drive-through. Oh dear, Dick. Oh, another drive-through. That's Nuski Daswili. from the top 5, the 728 car now has to take a trip to the pits. It's a long pit lane here in Imola as well. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, and I clearly was wrong on my prediction. I was saying that we would see more drive-through penalties at Valencia than we would here. Well, already we are proven wrong on that. And Imola, as you said, a long pit lane. In terms of a drive-through penalty, you're looking at roughly 38 seconds in the pit lane just to take a trip down all the way through. And that's going to cost you about 38% of your lap as well.
We see David Perel with a damage on a few war wounds on that Porsche. Is doing his best to hang on in there. Gert Fischer in the 78 showing with a drive-through as well. So a few people falling foul of that again, just showing how hard this car is to drive. It's a fabulous car when you get it right, but it isn't, like I said before, it's an absolute monster. Oh no! That's Caracas, who's been challenging Luke Whitehead all race long, is now into the dust. Where has he done that? That's a Toza.
Great Caracas.
No, Rivasco, beg your pardon.
Wow, he was up like 26 positions before he had that incident, still up 23, so nothing to shake a stick at regardless, but back out on the track, rejoining in P10, just overtakes actually Naskadishvili. Oh, that's not how you say that, sorry. As he is taking a trip down the pit lane. Oh, very close action as well between Monroe and the car in front then is going to be Egger. These two guys are glued together. I've got to say, this is so much fun. The only way I think you can describe this race is a knife fight in a phone booth, to be honest.
That's a fantastic description. Copyright, Mike Noss, love that. But yeah, John Monroe has been fighting. Now, Egger was behind him last time we looked, so Lucas has managed to wrestle his way past John. As we have a replay coming up, what has happened to Chris Warner? He has dropped off the lead. Let us see how. So this is Seaman Angus Fender. Oh, that's gone horribly wrong on the start-finish straight. And somehow managed to control that, so he only sideswiped the wall. It won't cause anywhere near as much damage as he was. How the hell did he do that? One, how did he got so loose because these things don't have a lot of downforce, but how on earth he held that, I will never know.
And also another thing that we haven't touched on, I think, since the start of the race, these cars, of course, are lacking one major thing in traction control. They do have anti-locking brakes, but they do not have that assistance when you go and you put your foot down on the pedal just slightly too hard, as the number 2 car has had a bit of a mare there through Aqua Minerale, rejoining side by side. In fact, we've seen side-by-side action into Variante Alta as well. As we switch over to Hanzik. And that is a not-so-showroom-ready Porsche. Very big squeeze, but he makes it work nonetheless.
Ryan O'Sullivan had no choice there, had to bow out of that. Otherwise, the man from the Czech Republic would have been in his door. Valentin Barrière is now challenging the Frenchman. He's having a go at Luca Monroe for 11th place. Has he managed to do it? Yes, he has. He managed to get that move done. Now, that Porsche does look fairly, well, other than a small scuff on the door, does look fairly showroom new, unlike Mr. Honzik, so it's just bouncing through the shop. And Ryan O'Sullivan doing what he can to challenge back for 14th place. My goodness me, we only have a couple of minutes left and still various arguments going on.
We're actually about to pop onto the final lap. My goodness, this race has actually flown on by. I cannot believe how quick this has gone. We are still seeing action between Jan Gray. He has had a bit of a struggle in this session, I think it's to be fair. We've seen him go off the track 1 or 2 times. Now looking up here at Murano, chasing right on that diffuser. Has a look to the outside. Now this is going to be a tough pass opportunity. The outside line, definitely not the favorable one, but you can get it done with enough confidence on the brakes. This time around, though, he is going to have to back out the 23 car. Hopefully we'll set it up here through the Ravazzas into the first chicane. That's going to be your best overtaking opportunity as we rejoin here. 3 wide. This is just electric.
Oh my goodness me. You're just kind of waiting for the inevitable bang as there's a big slide coming on. I think that is Bookme that was all 4-wheel drifting there coming through.
Whoa!
Oh no! That's a big detonation, really. What on earth happened there?
There was a chicane in the straight line that wasn't supposed to be there. How did that happen?
No,
my goodness.
Tommy Byrne is still stationary. You have a what looks like a struggling or possibly a lagging number 117. Well, that is Byrne, who's recovered his car to the pit lane. That was number 11, I think, that's recovered as well. More cars off the road. Final lap of the race. Angus Fender, my goodness me, he won't know what's just happened literally a few corners ahead of him. As now the track is cleared for him. So this could well be, unless it all goes wrong for him in the last few corners, it'll be 2 for 2 for Angus Fender.
Yeah, I don't think he's particularly bothered with what happened behind him. He is only worried about the tarmac in front, and we can see a great view of his car. Of course, he did miss livery submission, so we would see a much nicer livery, I'm sure. But we are left with a carbon fiber and pink Porsche here to look at, which is still nice to see regardless. Angus Fender, though, dominant this entire race. Not the fastest lap, though. That is going to belong to Chris Warner in this session, but qualifying on pole. Almost the grand slam here in this race, too, tonight.
Absolutely true. So Fender taking 2 for 2 as coming through the final turn. Then the checkered flag is out. So winning again, your winner here in Imola is Angus Fender in the 22, taking the class win for the sausage curbs. Is Wolf Pedrano in the number 47, and your class win for the Apexes and Exits again is John Monroe. So 2 for 2 for class wins for the number 23. But my goodness me, again, what a race.
Absolutely incredible. Now, of course, we will have an update with our standings as well. And up next, we are going to be heading over to Monza for Ferrari Challenge. Now, Porsche Cup cars are a car that I know some drivers have had experience with. The Ferrari Challenge, I'm going to be honest, I have not seen that car too much since it came out, and boy, am I excited to see what some of these higher names can do with that machinery.
Amen to that. So I got the classes the wrong way around. As Angus Fender was Apexes and Exits, John Monroe was the lead of the content creators. I got that one slightly wrong. Whoops. As still can't get this one right. You struggle with Mr. Nashville. I struggle with this one. Arjun, we're going to chicken out on that one. Having a bit of a struggle on his final lap. May well be enjoying getting rid of this car. Now, again, the Ferrari Challenge car, based on my limited experience, albeit from other sims as opposed to ACC, is again a bit more of a raw machine. But this one, kind of closer tuned to its GT3 variant. Generally a bit quicker as well than this GT3 version. That's now this is going to be, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think it will take as much adjusting to as this Porsche. I wait to be proven wrong.
Yeah, the Ferrari 488 Challenge Evo is basically, I think to sum it up in one word, a rocket ship. It basically is pure straight line speed. It's a 3.9 twin turbo V8 with 660 brake horsepower, and it weighs about 2,800 pounds or about 1,200 kilograms. It is, it's a rocket. It literally, when it comes to straight line speed, I think it is second to none at Paul Ricard. Here we were seeing top speeds of around 275 kph. That was going to be the barrier, actually, that managed to put that time down. Warner is going to be tying him. So I think we are going to be seeing closer to the 290s, I would imagine. Of course, the GT3 cars, they're going to be topping out around your 286 mark most of the time. But here, I think we are going to be see very quick speeds. And at Monza especially, the temple of speed. Oh, it's going to be exciting.
Oh, yeah. What a crescendo to an amazing night we've had so far. So here we are looking at the replay of the start, certainly from the front part of the field. It got a little chaotic behind these two, but look how quickly Fender and Warner managed to build just a half second or 0.6 of a second gap. They went straight for, they went to business. They didn't hang around. They were getting on with the job straight away. And we didn't see that.
We did.
Angus Fender get a bit of a swapper on, but Warner had nowhere to go. He had nowhere to utilize that momentum. And then we saw the challenge there from the white Porsche. I confess I've forgotten who that was that made that early challenge for second place from Chris Warner, losing out before they got back down to Aka Minerali. That's a bit of breathing space. That's as John Monroe get a bit of a tap there. Well, give a bit of a tap, I should say, to someone. But Luke Whitehead coming through in that bright pink Porsche. There was just action all over the place. Again, as you would expect from a single spec series. But what a great nice racing we've had so far.
Also much cleaner. That is just to be said as well. Race 1, definitely we saw a lot of straight line contacts. Now maybe that was just the nature of Valencia, as you made the comment. This is a much more practiced track for the drivers, more than likely. Of course, Valencia just is newer to the game, therefore they are less likely to have the amount of time on it. In the machinery, though, I will say, maybe that's just the GT3 pride, everyone trying to be better than each other. I don't know, Chris, what do you think? And why? Because this race was significantly cleaner, I do have to say.
I would say that's just sim racing instinct, is to try and be better, and that was one of many spins we saw in the course of the race. Here we see John Gray and David Naskidashvili arguing for well, I think I was fairly well. David was well into the top 5 for a lot of that until his penalty plummeted him down through the field. So next qualifying session, our final qualifying session, will be coming up fairly soon as we get to enjoy the highlights from our previous race. And again, the side-by-sides were so long for so many people as well.
That was so exciting to see. And also just a quick little update on our championship. Now we have standings updated. Of course, all these standings can be found over on SimGrid, as they do provide updated live, well, not, they don't provide, excuse me, but can live update them, and we can find them here. That is, of course, by our broadcast team. Big shout out to them. But John Murno leading the content creator class with Honzig behind, and Claro in third. 36 points for Honzig, 24 for Claro, and 50 for Murno, as he has taken both race wins. Now moving on to the sausage curbs, we have Marin Van Veen in P1 with Wilf Paduano in P2. That's going to be about a 12-point difference, and 1 point separating Lucas Egger and Wilf Paduano. So that top 3 is heating up here into the final race. Now, the apexes and exits also, they are going to be, of course, Angus Fender taking both race wins, dominating at 50 points in the championship. Luke Whitehead in P2 at 30, and 28 points to Ricardo Rivera in P3.
Very, very true indeed. We continue to watch how the race unfolds. This is just lap 5, so this was still very early in the race. And how many clips have we got to enjoy thus far? And again, it was Warner and Fender continuing their argument. And it's just Chris Warner tried everything to get that move to stick, and Fender was just not having any of it. And right behind him, Will Padrano from the Lamborghini in the first race, who had a great ringside seat. Here's a Naskidashvili once more alongside Marin Van Veen. Second overall in the championship is the number 720. But again, David was a real strong contender for top 5 finish. Well, pretty much all race long, I say, until that penalty just denied a strong finish for him. But like we said at the top of the show, tonight's racing is about just having fun. And I can be pretty certain that all of our drivers, maybe say 1 or 2, but certainly vast majority of them, are having a great time out there. We certainly are in the commentary box. We certainly hope you are as well, enjoying the racing either live or post-event. Oh, look how much suspension travel there was in the pink Porsche there. But again, so much jostling, so much door banging. Well, I'll say so much door banging, it's slightly unfair, but there was a fair amount of nudging going on. But they gave it everything, whether it was for first or for wooden spoon avoidance. They gave it everything they had.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, I can't speak. Hats off to Chris Warner managing to take that P2 and putting up the fight with Angus Fender. I got to say, it is Angus the Defender Fender. That is going to be his new name, I think, as he has put on an absolute masterclass of a show in terms of defense. And as we are now getting ready, we are going to head over to, well, not Italy. We are already here in Italy. We're moving now, of course, over to Monza, Italy, where we are going to see the 488s come out on track on their home soil.
It is Tifosi territory. It is over to the Temple of Speed for, again, another 6-minute qualifying session, which is going to be as action-packed. And, yeah, again, Monza is, because it's so fast, finding space is going to be that much more difficult. So this is going to be interesting just to see how the qualifying pans out. But again, 20 minutes of racing in these absolutely monstrous Ferraris. What a great way to finish off I would love a series of this. 3 different classes, there's huge names of very talented drivers. I'd tune in for a championship of that.
Oh, this is so much fun, and I've got to say, I'm absolutely buzzing to see a grid full of Cavallina Rampantis out there. This is going to be so much fun.
Amen to that. So once the qualify session gets underway, we'll then have our 40 drivers, or however many of them have survived until this point. We'll then have the action unfurl, and again, these cars are just there is that magical noise that the Ferraris just give off. It's really distinct, and it's a symphony. One thing, well, the Italian sports car manufacturer does many things very well, but the Ferrari 488 can't even speak. The Ferrari 488, whether it was GT3 or road car or the challenge spec, it looks fast standing still.
Who doesn't love it's a Ferrari. I mean, come on, Who doesn't love a Ferrari? I mean, it's as we have it, though. We are going to be jumping into this qualifying relatively soon. The car is all going to be barreling out to try to find a position on this track. Of course, 3.6 miles, 5.7 kilometers for these guys to scrap it out for position in the 6-minute quali.
And away we go. In these gorgeous Ferraris. Anyone's out there in pink, I will be most upset. I know there's going to be one or two. Look how quickly they just take off from the standing spot braking. You do need to brake. Someone's got that horribly wrong coming through the first chicane. Oh, there's a bit of lag going on there, so a bit unfortunate there. Oh, it's Kamalala who's really struggling. Ben McConnell has returned his car back to the pit lane. Again, like I say, because finding space is going to be so difficult. And that's someone didn't even bother to slow down. Alexander said, coming through. I'm doing things my own way.
I gotta say, if he did manage to set a lap with that line, it probably would be the quickest out there. Now, would it be valid? No, not quite, but it would be very, very fast.
That is certainly right. Out comes McConnell once again. He's gone for a white colour scheme this time. So I've gotten used to what colours we've just seen, and now everyone... And Ben McConnell has decided to get the hurry up on. I mean, this is their out lap, so they're not invalidating anything. David Perel, the South African driver, in the number 38 car. He's taken the chicane properly.
Round of applause.
There's that beautiful noise. Let's get Ashvili in the 728 car, just leaving the way, but he's coming out right in front of everybody, just starting their hot laps. That's a very uncomfortable position he's going to be in.
Yeah, and he is going to come out right into the firing line as well of people that are starting their laps, heading down the Monza straight at blistering speeds and actually concertinaing up into the... Okay, he is going to miss the corner. That's definitely the smart move there. I know we're seeing a lot of drivers not making that, but he's going to rejoin right in the front. Oh, this is such an awkward spot for David to come out in, and he kind of just... He can't really give it up, because if he is to give up that position, he will be waiting for an entire lap, basically, here of just trying to find that gap.
Yeah, slotted in behind. Not sure who it was he jumped out in front of. Here's Tommy Byrne, the young Irishman in the 117. He's just coming through final turn. The Parabolica. And just wandering over to far over to the left-hand side as he dares. Go on, Mike. Take us through a lap of Monza.
Yes, indeed, as we head down. Okay, we're going to be on with Warner here. Next lap. We will be back at that here in a moment. But yes, of course, Monza. Such a exciting circuit, I got to say. It's a circuit that has so much history. It's founded back in 1922. Now, the layout that we use, of course, is not that layout. It still does exist to this day. The old banking is out there, and we do actually use that after coming out of Parabolica. Comes into the old banking, but not quite the style that they did it back in the 20s. Thankfully, of course, they were using trees as barriers back then. Not quite the safest thing to be doing. But an 11-turn circuit
together on track again. Even in qualifying, they're inseparable.
That is hilarious. They must be, I wonder if they're in a call together or something, but that's no love lost between the two drivers. As we hop on board with Chris Warner now down the 1.1 kilometer mile straight here. We're flat out for about 80%, just over 80% of this lap. Heavy braking now into the Rettifilio. Looking for that curb just to clip it very nicely. Great apex. Bit of a moment on oversteer, or a bit of an oversteer moment on exit there. A little too happy on the loud pedal. Now heading up towards Della Roggia. This is where, in my opinion, most of the chaos happens in the race. Everyone always is calm turn 1, but then turn 2, the gloves come off. See tonight. Now looking for the braking around that Marshall board. There's a Marshall post off to the side with a yellow little bullard. That is kind of what you're looking for to stop the car. Now coming up towards the very, very tricky Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. You have to just tilt it in very, very patient. Now this is where that 80% of the throttle, this is where you're off of it most of the time here. Just trying to blend it in, keep it as consistent and on track as you can. You see a big moment of oversteer on exit. It's a bit of milk in the cow action there for Chris Warner. But he is going to keep it under control. Maybe lost a tenth there, maybe a half a tenth. Coming up though into one of the most famous corners in the world, Variante Ascari. Hitting that braking marker, super high speed chicane, needs to avoid the sausage curbs here on the inside. Does actually can take it quite a bit. Never mind, these cars very, very rigid, or very forgiving in that regard. You can see even a bit of a cheeky slipstream down the back straight, heading towards Parabolica now, which has been renamed, but it's still Parabolica to me. And looking for that braking marker. It is going to be the lap complete here, valid all the way around, and this is actually going to be quite a good lap. I will say I didn't see too much seesawing, I didn't see too much wiggling around here from the back end of Chris Warner, and as he comes to the line here in the Ferrari 488, it is going to be a 148.5. 148.8, excuse me, it was slower than his previous.
It did look a little uncomfortable in a few places, so I mean it's still absolutely rapid, and still half a second quicker than current second place John Munro in the 23. Now, we did see Angus Fender, who was the car directly ahead of Chris Warner throughout almost that entire lap. Even he was struggling to get the car in the right place at the right time, as we see Munro over the line once more. Now, last time out, probably a compromised lap, but the checker flag is already out. John Munro cannot push again for that top spot. He currently lies with Warner. There's David Perel in lovely red and yellow accented number 38. Comes Adam Benjamin. He's got the white accent on his car. 18th position. Only 2.5 seconds behind. And remains where he is. I think somebody jumped ahead of him. So 19th position for the number 990. And he detonates a few more polystyrene boards. But it looks like Angus Fender is going to have some work to do this time.
Not starting up at the front. In fact, not really even starting anywhere near it. In fact, he is, where is he? Struggling to find Fender. He is back down all the way in P29, Angus Fender.
Wow.
He managed to settle out. It was an invalid lap. That is why. So a 6-minute qualifying, catching our double race winner out. Now he has shown that he is the defender. He is going to have to show that he is an attacker.
So the rail comes over the line. There is Angus Fender. So all his lap proving invalid he is. So this is still a valid lap he's on, but again, you see how much he's sliding coming through Parabolica. Now, you disqualified, well, again, a few people wanting to start at the tail end of the field. What can Fender do? That's third. So he is going to be towards the sharper end, but this time he is going to have to do some on-track overtaking. There's Charlotte Perkins. Haven't seen a lot of her, unfortunately, in the 463 as the evening has gone on, being chased home over the line. 22nd. Just shy of 3 seconds off of that top spot. Sounds a lot, but again, when you're comparing against who has set that lap time, that's nothing to be upset by at all.
No, most certainly not. Chris Warner with a blistering fast 148.5 at pole position. And now I touched on it earlier. We were going to be seeing now our GT3s. They're going to be topping out around the 286 kph range here at Monza with about a 1.1 kilometer straight. We are seeing the speeds of 295 kilometers. Now that's approaching 183 miles an hour in freedom units. My goodness, these guys are rapid down this straight. And it's so easy to miss that braking zone into the first chicane. And the drivers, of course, are going to need to remember that as well into the race. They're carrying a lot more speed and need to brake just that little bit more early.
That's easily said from this perspective. It's it's getting the drivers to remember that. And especially as we've seen in both of the races so far tonight, with the field this heavily condensed, it's a difficult one. We're going backwards up the field. Well, why not? Let's give the camera to those starting towards the 10 end of the field. This might be a bit more tricky for you, Mike, but go on and take it away from 30th upwards.
As we have it starting in P38, last but not least, it is going to be Garrett Fisher, who is starting in the back with no lap set. Samir Foch joining him as well in 37. 36 belongs to Christoph Mikowski, not setting a lap. Also, Lucas Ziege in the same boat, P35. Luke Whitefield also in that camp, P34. We have Gratas Karakis, in P33 with Valentina Barrier in P32. Steve Worrell in 31st with Arjun Lakshmi Narasimhan in P30 with James White in P29. George Boothby going to be 28th quickest, the number 999, actually I think without a lap. And Yaroslav Honzig as well in P27. Pranav Kalevala in P26 with Idris Kahil, in 25th. Jacob Church 24th quickest with Tommy Bryan in P23, the 117. We have Charlotte Perkins bringing up P22, the 463 Ferrari 488. They're all Ferrari 488s. Adam Benjamin in P21, the number 990. We have Michael Wolk in P20, rounding out our top 20 with Daniel Tomlinson in 19th. Matthias Mamela in 18th. Ben McConnell in 17th quickest in the number 6 machinery with Luca Egger in P16. Yannick Hustin in P15. Jon Gray going to be 14th quickest with David Naskadashvili in P13. Luca Murno in P12. David Perel, 11th quickest, number 38 driver with Ricardo Claro in P10, rounding out our top 10. Illipo Rautsulainen just sneaking in there into 9th position with Marin van Veen in P8. Ryan Brown, going to be 7th quickest, the 142, with Alexander Scher in P6. Wilf Paduano, 5th quickest, with Ricardo Rivera Company in P4. Angus Fender, going to be the number 22 in P3 with John Murno, or in front of him, the number 23 in P2. And first of all is going to be Chris Warner in the 111.
Thank you, Mike. As the field now starting their parade lap, a few drivers seem to still be in the pit lane. I think that's the 1, 2, 3. I think Pranav Kalevala was the one that tried to take the Honda in the GT3 race. Doesn't look like they are going to be starting, unfortunately. But Chris Warner leading the field now down towards the Del Rogia. Apparently it's called second chicane, but this will always be the Del Rogia to me. I'm old, therefore I'm sticking to that. Let's see how the field is on the tower. As a reminder, the white accented names. I have to remind myself now because I have also forgotten. The white accented names are the apexes and exits. Whoops, as someone's going for a bit of a wander through Del Rogia. So the white accented numbers are the apexes and exits. The red ones are the content creators, and the grey ones are the sausage curbs. So John Munro, having been the lead content creator thus far in both races, is leading once again that particular category. Is Pedrano in the 6th place, number 47. That is head of the sausage curbs class. And it's of course Chris Warner of apexes and exits. Taking top honours, his arch rival Angus Fender will be starting on the road directly behind him in the number 22. It's great camera angles, just gives you a real perspective, a real feel for how this Monza circuit looks. I think number 14 car's had a bit of trouble as well, as Steve Worrell is back in the pit lane, so trouble for him. But we are still in for 20 minutes of absolutely frantic racing.
Everybody knows Monza T1. Everyone knows the notorious nature of it. Will it live up to that tonight? We're about to find out, everyone, so buckle up because it's about to get really intense. Of course, these cars, not necessarily the machinery that the drivers are used to. This is not their first pick-in car. Typically, this is actually not really anywhere in their bucket list, but hey, tonight, this is the beauty of this challenge, or the race and championship that we're watching tonight. It's forcing these drivers into maybe a little bit more of an uncomfortable zone that they're not used to, but as a result, it means that we are having fun, everybody, because once again, sim racing, we're here to have fun. But as we come around Parabolica here, Chris, why don't you take it away?
Thank you kindly, good sir. Through the parabolica for the last parade lap of the night. Again, everybody knows who they're realistically fighting against, but as you said, Mike, slightly less familiar machinery, although probably a bit more closer to the GT3 variety than the Super Cup car was in comparison. But again, all eyes to the right, waiting for that green flag to go. There it is. We are racing here in Monza. That's not been a great start for John Munro, as again the Titans challenging all the way down towards the Rettifilio. That's a move for... Oh no, there's trouble behind. A huge incident is taking place at the tail end of the field. Oh my goodness, someone is a missile coming down the grass. You never want to see it. Massive incident. So many cars in trouble.
Holy smokes, there was a car there. That blue car had enough mid-air time to be served snacks on his flight. Now, I said it before the race, are we going to see the notorious nature of Monza T1? And unfortunately, I think I was right.
Yeah, you called that one. You absolutely called that one. But it's business as usual up top as Angus Fender and here's our trouble again. Names. It was Honzik and Boothby that were in trouble at the beginning, or one of a couple of many cars that had a big incident. Alexander Zasher there we see in 11th place with the number 21 car, as already the number 2 has returned back to pits. That's Mikael Volk. Side by side, it's Warner and Fender again.
A little bit of bumping and banging now as they head into the third sector. And they go into a Scotty side by side. Look at that, nicely done, as Warner is too deep though. This is gonna give a much better exit here to Fender. Fender side by side heading into Parabolica. This is gonna be decided here in the braking zone, no doubt. Who is going to get it? The inside line for Warner, and he has the nose ahead, but late on the brakes there for Fender. It isn't gonna happen though, as we come now onto the straight. Definitely gonna be tucking into that slipstream Fender and having a look into the first chicane that Rettifilio.
Here they come. First lap in anger is completed, and again Warner just slamming the door in Angus Fender's race. Of course, because the straight is so long, you will just inevitably be slipstream now. Angus Fender, can he get that much slowed down? No, he doesn't commit to it. Obviously, we still have quite a few laps to go through, so no point trying to do something too silly in the opening laps. We have got a replay here of the carnage. I said at the top of the show that it was going to be contact community carnage. Let's have a look then at the replay of it. Who are we having a look at? Well, that is Boothby and Honzik. Where did it all go wrong? There! So it was Boothby that bounced off of whichever car the black one is. We can't really tell who it was. But that's what sent the kind of Skittles effect going on. Oh dear, that got rather uncomfortable rather quickly. Look, oh no, it's just gone into the back of the 21. That's Alexander Sasha. Oh, that's a bit of an uncomfortable redoing there. Goodness me, it is absolute chaos in Monza.
Seems like the drivers had a much better handle on the Porsche Cup cars than these. These are absolute rocket ships, and clearly they are struggling to get these cars stopped. In fact, they are trying to use alternate braking methods of other cars to stop them. In fact, we've been seeing that on multiple occasions so far. Now, does that work? Literally, yes, but does it work in terms of keeping everybody happy? No, most certainly not. Going to be wanting to use that middle pedal. That is the optimal one to keep the car stopped.
Generally so, as opposed to using someone else's machinery, but that does put a few different names towards the top. So Warner and Fender are doing their own thing up front, with Rhino Sullivan in the 142 car. So it was a 1-2-3 for the Apex and Nexus crew. Oh, that's trouble again. That's the number 38 car this time. David Perel has had to retire the car. He's back in the pit lane, unfortunately. David Nashkadashvili in 6th place with Petrano right behind him. Let's have another replay of lap 1. There's the replay, well, you can see at the top, and there was the white missile that came bouncing through the field. Couldn't quite see who that was, and that just then caused a concertina effect ahead of him. It was the 117 car, it was Tommy Byrne, that ended up being a complete passenger. As soon as he got onto the grass, he probably knew he was in deep trouble.
Yeah, he was fully a passenger at that point, and that is essentially when you close your eyes, hold your brakes, and, well, pray. That's really all you can do. Side by side, though, we go. We're 2x2 here down heading towards the second chicane. And looks like the scarlet red Ferrari going to have a nice advantage. Bit of a contact, though. The black Ferrari is off into the rumble. And that is going to drop him down not 1, 2, but 5, 6 now positions behind Luke Whitefield.
I think that was Ben McConnell. I'm not 100% sure who it was that has plummeted there. Not necessarily, like you say, not too far in track position, in track distance, but certainly a lot of position. I think it was McConnell. We'll know when they come over the next timing being as to which name plummets. It's probably a good 10 or 12 positions. We look at Ricardo Rivera. It was Mamela, the number 91 car, that's lost all those positions. I beg your pardon. Is that Pedrano in trouble? No, that was a slightly unusual camera angle. He is challenging for what is now 4th place from that's Van Veen, that he is trying to wrestle that position. It's never going to work on the outside of Parabolica. Slightly further back is Yannick Halstein in the midst of an almighty great pack. This particular pack is so big that, as we've already seen several times, one mistake could cost a lot of people a lot of time.
Yeah, most certainly. Also, taking a look here up at the front, in terms of our positions gained, we have Martin Van Veen, who's up 5 positions, Will Pedrano up 1. Illipo Ratsulainen was up 5 positions. What has just happened to Illipo? All of a sudden, I'm seeing his name plummet down a little. No, he's back into P5. Just a bit of a error. And also, David in P6 is up 7 positions. But our biggest gainer here tonight so far belongs to Grantis Caracas, up 20 positions in P13. Also tied with that, though, Luke Whitehead, actually now 19, as he is having a bit of a scrap, it seems, with Yannick Bustin in P14.
We see both of those, nearly 3 wide. That's someone just bowing out of that entirely. There's not interested in trying to be 3 wide here, unless that's a back marker. Again, can't quite identify who that is. That just completely hit the brakes at that point. Sometimes it is better just as, it was Honzik, is a lap Honzik. That's why he hit the brakes. He knew he was being lapped. So he decided not to stay 3 wide coming into Del Rogia. Coming back to Illipo Ratsalainen, he's still on the back of Pedrano for 4th position. Van Veen just ahead of them. And Naskidashvili in the back of this particular conga line, still bouncing around. You can see in the rear view camera the ever-present German, the 728 car. He's gone to the inside line. Ratsalainen, he knew that one was done, didn't defend the inside, saw the overspeed, but has actually managed to outbrake the German. But he's actually ended up outbraking himself. He's left the inside line open, and you can see how twitchy these cars are coming through Parabolica. They just don't have the same kind of cornering efficiency as the GT3 brethren. They're really, really difficult to rotate, as that's a yellow flag. That's 990 car. Adam Benjamin has had trouble on the way out. Well, he's actually had trouble quite some distance after the Ascari.
Illipo there getting sent down the inside by the 728, and that is a nice overtake. There might have been a little bit of contact mid-corner, some bumping and banging, but nothing to brush over, or nothing really too serious. Ben McConnell here side by side, the number 13, as well as Matthias Mamala in P16, side by side with the 44 car down through one of the most beautiful corner complexes ever, I would say, through the Curva Grande.
Yeah, that's Claro in the 85 car, just keeping his foot absolutely in it. So again, just trying to capitalise on any mistake. It's a bit of a fidget there from Mamala, but stays where he is, understeering his way through the Del Rogia. That's cost him the position. Bit of a nudge there from Claro. Yeah, it's Mamala was a little bit too deep coming into that second chicane, but has managed to hold 16th just about from Claro there. As we now look to John Monroe, started up second, so this race hasn't gone well for him. So he's being chased by who is it? Well, he's actually down to 13th position, so he's lost a few positions since the last timing being. So now recovering from an off. That is Luke Whitehead right behind him. As he nearly nudges the back of the 23 car. I think that's a lap. Honzik! Whoa, John Monroe! Just about keeping on the wall, but look out of the wall, how bouncy it is, or how bumpy I should say, coming through that runoff area on the exit of the Ascari.
actually think that Chris Warner may have had a similar incident. Chris Warner has clearly made contact with something. He's into the pit lane.
Oh, no!
That is a less than aerodynamically sound Ferrari, and I don't think the engineers were quite ready for that one in the design. Illipo, though, side by side down the start finish straight, is not going to have the move done just yet. Or, yes, is not going to, as he has gained a position as a result of the retirement there from Warner, but I definitely need to see a replay there, as I'm wondering if that was a self-inflicted error or if Angus Fender and him have had a little bit of a coming together.
Oh dear, what has happened to the ever-present challenger at the top of the field? Well, that I suspect he could be in the pits for a while, or for the rest of the race. Already half of it gone. As we look back to the 5th position of Illipo Rassalainen. I didn't notice it earlier, but I spotted it at the start of this race. Apex not found. I like that. I approve. Oh, as we see Naska Dasvili up into 4th now is the number 728. So big contingent of the grey mark, the sausage curb contingent in the top 5. What happened to Chris Warner? So we come through the Ascari. Oh wow! How much curb did he catch? That certainly caught him out. There was no way he was stopping that car heading towards the wall. Wow, and that really caught him out. How much airtime he caught.
Yeah, he's definitely adding up those frequent flyer miles. There is Chris Warner, but unfortunately now is not the time for that. We resume back Chris Warner here. You can see all the way down in 27th position after having a nice kiss with the barrier. And wow, we see the curbs being aggressively taken up front here, but from Daniel Tomlinson. What a scrap. We are having 3 wide now, heading down into the back corner. It's anyone's game at this point. This is some amazing spectacles we're seeing.
Superb stuff, although getting very uncomfortable. 3 wide in the parabolic is not something you see. That's almost like as a demonstration team. Look at that! They've all managed to survive it. They're all at a very similar pace, but who's going to win out on the run down to the red video? Tomlinson, as we're the middle of the 3, he is challenging Claro and Mikowski. Who's going to blink first? The red Ferrari of Mikowski's having a look. He's managed to put Daniel Tomlinson down to the 18th briefly, but gets the entrance on the red video all wrong, and that brings in Samir Foss right behind them, I believe it is.
What a battle. For a moment, you almost thought that they were, just as you said, working together as a picturesque photo picture there. Lovely seeing the 3 Ferraris all next to each other side by side, but no, they are all rivals. Nicely done there, Lucas Egger, with a decisive move there after an error from the car in front.
John Munro, oh, that's getting a bit uncomfortable. Ben McConnell saw him coming and gave necessary racing room, and that did cost McConnell, the number 6 Ferrari, a bit of momentum, and that's put Rivera right on their case as well. So still plenty of shuffling going on. 7.5 minutes left of this race, and still plenty of tails to run for. The only man with any breathing space is our race leader, Angus Fender, as he's lost his usual sparring partner, Chris Warner. Now leads by nearly 7 seconds, and pretty much everybody behind him has got a lot of fight to do. Someone even flirting with the grass. Goodness me, that's Ryan O'Sullivan. Is that a bit deep into parabolic here? Yeah, looks like it. He's going to lose out to Nashka Dashvili, who was in 4th last time we looked at him, and now it's Ratsalainen that is up into P4.
You blink and you miss 3 position changes, it seems, as there is just so much happening here. Side by side, Ryan O'Sullivan with a bit of a poorer exit, but he still has a run. There's contact in a straight line. Never like to see that. It looks like we have the inside line firmly held by Nashka Dashvili. I think it's Nashville. In chat, I think somebody confirmed that their nickname is actually Nashville. So we'll roll with that, I think, for now. Can we get confirmation in chat if that is true? But yes, Nashville, as we'll dub him for now, David in P5 gets by Ryan O'Sullivan.
That he does. As we look back at Ben McConnell, the Rag Nation cheering him on. His tail completely dominated by Rivera in the 787 car. He's trying to keep in the tyre tracks of John Munro. As they started on the front row, his race not going particularly well. I think still leads, he doesn't still, John Munro still leads the content creator category, with McConnell second in that, with Claro a couple of cars back from this group in 3rd in that class. But as they come through, the first Lesmo once again, bit of a flirt with the grass, and a lot of polystyrene debris littering the way. Oh, that looked like it was a run there for Rivera as we now look at Alexander Session. Look at the inside, that's gone horribly wrong for 142. There's Rhino Sullivan that has to take the straight line over Ascaria, outbraked himself, nowhere left to go, and taking to a bit of lawn mowing, down one position but still in the fight.
What incredible moves there. We're back side by side. Nashkadashkavili, also not an official name, so we won't use it on Nashville. So we'll stick away from that for now. Nashkadashkavili, we'll just struggle with pronunciations instead. Gets the overtake for now. Big step out of the rear end there for Ryan O'Sullivan. Lucky he didn't end up facing sideways into the barrier there. That was a very nice save for the Big Brain Racing Machinery, the 142. Now coming down the straight, you can see the side-by-side now coming to underform. The scarlet red Ferrari on the outside, the black on the inside. We saw the inside line was a little unfavorable earlier from the scarlet red when he managed to absolutely clatter the sausage curb, but manages to negotiate through the 21, not able to gain any advantage.
Not yet anyway, but still a few laps to go. Less than 5 minutes with 3/4 of the way through this race already. And how quickly has tonight flown by? Well, today for this morning for you indeed, Mike. So, oh, and that's deep for the orange Ferrari. You see the 142 getting it wrong again. Rhino Sullivan is really struggling at this stage to get his car slowed down. It is costing him time. So we just look at Alexander Sasha. Oh, that's a spin. That's Ricardo Rivera, who's been on the back of Ben McConnell for quite a while, has opted to go and take the safer route to reverse his way, get onto the recovery road to his right, and get going once again. Still going to be uncomfortable coming over the sausage curb, leaving a fair amount of the diffuser behind him. It's just as he come right next to, I think that's Perkins, I think, in the 463. Yes, it is, Charlotte Perkins. Oh, still a bit of side-by-side, bit of a nudge there potentially going on. I think a bit of lag as well for good measure. Further up front, there's Ryan O'Sullivan, whose brakes seem to have departed company from his car. Oh, that's behind that. I think that's Egger that's got us the exit of Ascari a little bit wrong, but still in the fight. Oh, that's very deep. Wow, Ryan O'Sullivan had the wherewithal to realise that Caracas was coming in a bit hot, getting the necessary racing room. It's costing the position, but at least it hasn't sent them off into the shadow realm.
Oh my goodness, there's 3 minutes left in this race. There's 3 minutes and 11 seconds left in this race. It's absolutely flown by. I feel like we just started. Oh man, Fender leading our race by a pretty good majority at this point. I think it is going to be quite tough, barring an error, for Fender to lose that position to Marin. But Marin in the lead of their class, of course, in the silver plates, and Fender in the lead of the whites. Also, the content creators of Murno currently leading in P11. Of course, we have 3 different classes here tonight in the championship, and all of these are in Monroe, my apologies. But yes, Ilipo here also under threat up at front. Ryan O'Sullivan, he is on a recovery though now and trying to make anything he can out of this situation, and he goes deep as well.
He's struggling again to just get his car slowed down. His brakes have failed him. We will see Steve Worrell slightly further down, but still hanging on in there. There's Nashkadashvili side by side with Ratsalainen. Oh, look at that. Oh, no trouble behind. As that session, the 21 has gone round, was helped into a spin, but has hit the wall. Is now going to lose so much time trying to find a spot to spin the car around. Now it's going to be now it's an opportunity. Is that somebody else has spun? Yep, he's retired his car. No, there's very little race time left. He wouldn't be able to recover too much, but here we see Ricardo Claro in the number 85 car, having an argument with Ben McConnell for what is now 11th place. As we've had all night long, still battles going on, and we only have 1.5 minutes left. Someone add 20 minutes to the race. Someone do it now.
Honestly, I agree. This is so exciting. I've got to say, these drivers in the unfamiliar machinery, this is so much fun. Ricardo Claro as well here as McConnell on the inside, I think, and is going to be having a little bit of a look. McConnell has the firm advantage and the much better line onto the start-finish straight, but did Claro, was he able to carry some speed here as he's not even in the slipstream and he's still gaining? He is gaining, and is he going to be gone in the braking zone? No, we're going to go fully side-by-side, nose to nose as he ekes further ahead the straight. So long here, just over half a kilometer, or just over a kilometer, excuse me. And into the braking zone, we see Claro, he misses it and has to take off to the curbing there, conceding that position back to McConnell.
Oh, McConnell had that calculated, didn't he? He was, he definitely saw where Clara was going. Final lap of racing for the night. Angus Fender, he can afford to get the tail wagging. He's got 6.7 seconds here enough to himself, and continuing along his merry way to undoubtedly a race victory. But we will see. Could all go wrong in the blink of an eye, as it has done for so many drivers. Mike, do you want to bring us home on this one?
Why not? As we have here, following along on board with our leader, Angus Fender. He has led not just this race, he has led the race before that and the race before that to take home a victory in every single race. One more corner to negotiate here as we come around Parabolica. Angus Fender, a little bit deep to be fair, but that doesn't matter. As we come to the line now, it has been 10 laps of racing. Angus Fender did walk away with quite a bit of a margin. As he has it though, comes to the line and finishes P1, not just in this race, but in the championship as well.
Well, it is all number 22 up top, but there is Marion Van Veen. Again, another podium of the night. Pedrano finishes off the 3. Nashidashvili in 4th. Rasalan in 5. Caracas 6. Rainer Sullivan 7. Whoa, is it? Wow, Egger. Where's Rainer Sullivan gone? He's plummeted through the field. He hasn't crossed the line. So has he had trouble? Has he detonated his car too soon? Oh, sim racer doing sim racer things. Oh, there's someone trying to take off over the wall. Well, that's given Mikowski 11th, Sammy Foss 12th. Where, as we look slightly further down the field, with various cars, still arguing going on. Adam Benjamin in the 990, trying to just get one last position, but not quite able to do it. That's Worrell. He's having an argument with, but both cars surviving through Parabolica for the final racing lap and over the line for 20th and 21st. Kalevala in the 123 car, slightly further back with Chris Warner. Oh, what might it be for a win contender, you can argue. What a shame for Chris. He's put out some great racing, just at the worst possible times. He's led down. Look at the slide, putting on a show through Parabolica. Good man.
Nicely done. Bit of a flourish at the end, and a well-deserved one. Chris Warner not finishing in the position that he would have liked tonight, no doubt, but still coming home across the line. It's a bit of a satisfaction in itself. Now, of course, Warner, he wanted that race win tonight. We all know that. Unfortunately, the dream wasn't the reality for him in any of the sessions. Angus Fender has absolutely dominated. Also, Marin Van Veen, very nice result as well with a P2 this time around, finishing P3 in the last race. It is just nothing but improvement for the Dutch driver.
Very, very true indeed. And that concludes the racing, unfortunately. But we will have an opportunity, hopefully have a chance to have a chat with some of our drivers. I say it's not mandatory, but it is always nice to have a chat with people. Now, I'm being told that Angus Fender, our race dominator, probably a little bit overdone, but he's got the collection of the trophies tonight. Angus Fender, hopefully we'll get him into channel for an interview. There he is. Angus, are you with us?
I am here. Hello, hello.
Wow. Well, certainly towards the end of each race it looked pretty simple, but my God, the battling you and Chris in particular had. Talk us through it from your side.
Yeah, it was pretty mental, if I'm honest with you. Not something I really expected to happen. I only signed up for the event when I found out that my friends James White, Charlotte Perkins, Adam Benjamin were doing it from the British University sim racing organisation. And with like an hour and a half to go, I thought, yeah, I'll go sign up and I'll give it a go. I didn't expect 2 poles and 3 wins with 0 practice, but I had an enormous amount of fun. Some of the battles were just outstanding and really, really clean. So yeah, I enjoyed every second.
What was it like transitioning from each of the 3 cars? You were in the 992 992 Porsche for race 1, and then of course the Super Cup car, and then the Challenge car. How different is each vehicle to the one before?
Yeah, well, obviously the GT3 cars are pretty much everyone's kind of bread and butter. So it's what we're familiar with, and I've been spending time with the Porsche recently trying to learn how to manage my right foot. So I did the first race without traction control, which was interesting and led to a few saves here and there. But in a weird kind of way, it probably helped me a little bit with the Cup car, with the Super Cup car, because it was pretty much just driving a softer, spongier 992 GT3 car, because I still had no traction control, and the layout of the car was pretty similar. So those two were pretty nice for me to drive. And the Ferrari Challenge it's a challenge, having all that power and next to no brakes and aero. So you really have to recalibrate your mind to the closing speed that you get. I don't think I really had the race pace in any of the races really, but my racecraft was good enough to hang on, and we had some fantastic battles. I'm sure everyone here can agree.
I think you'll find it very difficult to sell that to everybody else that you didn't have the race pace. But I mean, that's absolutely fantastic show from yourself, Angus. Really, what can we say? It was well done on getting those 3 wins. Any questions from you, Mike?
Basically, well, I think we have, unfortunately, or fortunately for you, Angus, dubbed you with a new name. It is Angus the Fender, or Angus Fender the Defender. So I hope you enjoy that one, as I've unofficially dubbed that for you.
Hey,
but beyond that, I got nothing.
I'm perfectly happy with that. It's been a crazy day, to be honest with you. I was shaking down a 1950s Triumph and a 1960s Elva sports prototype today at Castle Combe. And I came back an hour and a half before this server opened and thought, why not? Let's give it a go. So it's been a pretty crazy day. So don't really want it to end. But yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I've had a blast.
Well, we'll leave you to enjoy the spoils of war. Great stuff. Thank you very much, Angus Fender.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a great night.
We shall indeed. Now, we have a special guest coming to join us in the box next. It is the SimGrid and Coach Dave Academy founder Dave Perrell is going to be brought into the box, and there he is. David, are you with us?
Greetings, everybody.
Good evening, sir. Right, how was tonight overall for you?
It started off a lot with plenty of fun. It was actually the first time I'd also at Imola driven the Porsche, the Cup car. So that was a learning experience because, we only had 3 minutes practice, so that was fun. And then at Monza was a disaster. Just landed up in the wall. And then in real life, especially in the Ferrari Challenge, when you're on the pit speed, you shift to third gear. That's just where the pit speed activates. So I did that in the game, and I got to stop and go for speeding in pit lane.
Oh no!
Because it deactivated the pit speed. So lesson learned.
Oh dear!
I won't do that again. Yeah.
Every day's a school day, as they often say. Now,
100%.
Ozzy, as a head man of SimGrid and Coach Dave Academy, for those that anyone knows those names. How are things going at the top of these amazing places?
It's been really good so far. We're experiencing good growth at SimGrid, steady growth, not rocket ship growth, but every day is just higher than the day before. We just have just over 500 communities now who are on the platform, which is phenomenal. So I'm really proud of that. And we're seeing some of these communities get really good grids and so on. So that's been cool. Michael does a mega job there, Mr. Hamster. And it's Coach Dave. We're starting to focus a lot on iRacing as well. And we have, over the next 4 weeks, we got 4 major product announcements in a row. So I'm really excited about that. Tomorrow is the first one, which I think a lot of people have been asking for. And then it just keeps going from there. So yeah, spending a lot of time at my desk, but honestly, I love it as much as I love racing.
That is always amazing to see. So I think would it be fair to say for people to keep an eye on the socials for more news to come?
Yeah, socials or Discord. If we try and spread the word as much as possible every Thursday for the next 4 Thursdays. If everyone's interested, just keep an eye open. That's for sure.
You heard it here first, folks. There's news coming, but it's been great to see SimGrid and CDAs. We're just constant and well-deserved growth, and every ship needs a good captain. So everybody at SimGrid and Coach Dave Academy can be very, very proud of what they've achieved. Thank you very much for spending the time with us, David, and we wish you well for the future. Thank you very much, David Perrell.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it, and thanks to everyone who took part in tonight's event. I appreciate that as well, massively.
Absolutely true. And speaking of, we've got one more. Well, it's a combination. It's a pair of drivers that we have seen have some thrills and spills. I refer to John Munro and Ben McConnell. Gentlemen, are you with us?
Hello.
Chris.
Oh, wow. Goodness me. You both put on a fantastic show. John, I'm going to come to you. I've enjoyed seeing you race in pretty much anything. And tonight, you destroyed absolutely everything you touched.
That doesn't sound like a good thing, necessarily, Chris.
I enjoyed it.
No, it was good. It was really good. I had the first two races were really clean and really fun. Unfortunately, I got no quali lapping in the Porsche, so I was kind of in with the other people who deliberately did no qualifying because they're good enough to do that. But then we had some really good battles. So the first few races, was quite happy with how they went. And then Monza, I stuck on the front row, which I was delighted with. And then I got spun at turn 1, so I was down at 36th. And then I think I was back up to 20th by lap 3, and I had a really good battle in that race with Jardier and co as well. I absolutely killed someone into Parabolica, so I'm very sorry about that. And Jardier managed to successfully dive bomb me the inside and the outside into turn 1. So I got completely mugged basically. But no, it was a really good fun night's racing, and hopefully people enjoyed watching it.
Oh, we certainly did from the commentary box. And I mean, joking aside, you're always absolutely rapid in anything you race, John. It is always a great fun to see you maneuver the sim racing machinery well. And Ben Raggy McConnell, a great honour to have you in the box, good sir. How's tonight been for you overall?
Well, if you exclude the esports drivers being esports drivers, it was a good time. I got absolutely wrecked in Valencia. I had something like 28 seconds of damage, which I was managing to nurse. I definitely got taken out in Imola, and definitely wasn't my own fault from having a super heavy foot. I had a really good fun racing Pranav. I saw that he was on the relative also struggling. I thought we can struggle together, but the content was fantastic. Everyone seemed to have a really good time, and I'm really glad that we could get together with SimGrid to host this wicked community event. I think we'll definitely be having to do more of these in the future. Oh,
count me up for that. Absolutely so. It's been a fantastic night's racing. So from your perspective, I kind of touched on this with Angus. How did you find transitioning from car to car? How differently do they behave from your perspective?
See, I'm such a GT3 sweat that I don't really touch any other type of car. That when I sat in the Porsche Cup, I knew I was going to struggle without the TC because I've already got a really heavy foot in general anyway, even in a GT3 car. But stick me in the Cup car, and I'm just a nightmare. So it was really hard for me to really sort of rein that in a little bit. But once I took the seriousness out of it and started to have like a bit more fun with it, it was a good fun. It's a really good car to sort of thrash around. And I knew that the Ferrari was such a meme in general anyway. When it comes to these Monza races, you're just going to end up with somebody smashing in the back of you, side of you, and you're going to end up running in the back of someone else. It's just, it's such a good laugh. I really enjoy these transition into these cars.
Awesome stuff. Well, Ben, as a good man once said, it's been emotional.
Yes, it has definitely been emotional. Thank you.
It's been great to chat to some amazing names in the sim racing world. Thank you very much, John Munro and Ben McConnell.
Thank you.
And that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream, either live or post-event. It has been a great pleasure to have you along for the ride. Thank you very much, Mike Noss, for joining me in the commentary box. Good sir, it has been a great pleasure to have some stateside energy here in the box.
Oh, the pleasure is absolutely mine, Chris. This racing tonight, as you said, and all of the drivers have said, I want more of this. This was one of the most fun events I have watched in a very, very long time, and this is just a true testament to SimGrid and what they put on over there, and Coach Dave as well for participating. Thank you guys so much over from SimGrid, and thank you here from the booth. I'm Mike Nause, of course.
Absolutely so. Could not have put that better myself. Thank you very much to all of our drivers, top to bottom, who have participated in tonight's event. It has been a fantastic evening's racing, and I really do hope that we get to see you all again for another event very, very soon. So keep an eye on the socials, as mentioned, for more announcements for SimGrid and Coast M Academy. Until we meet again, thank you very much, and good night!